Chapter 2587. I'm afraid there will be an unexpected surprise. I think you will be able to reach the half-step heavenly saint realm this time. Suddenly, Dai Lu, the archenemy of the sacred demon palace, took over Tsang Song's words and said with a smile. In the face of Dai Lu's words, Tsang Song, the two ancestors of ice and fire, did not refute. After the shock, they fell silent and seemed to be looking forward to it. Half-step heavenly saint realm. That means he's half a step into the heavenly saint realm. It's only a matter of time before he reaches the real heavenly saint realm. This human should be quite young. I didn't expect him to be so terrifying. Rosy Cloud's fairy raised her lotus foot and gently took a step forward, saying. Her beautiful eyes, which were looking at the purple-robed young man, flickered with a strange light. Du Xiaoyao, who was standing to the side, did not speak. He knew very little about the heavenly saint realm, even less than Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaoyao's golden eyes were fixed on Du Xiaofu, who was standing in the air. His fists couldn't help but clench tightly, and the Tseng Mountain skeleton's body in his hand was clenched so tightly that it made a creaking sound. It was obvious that he was somewhat nervous. Over the years, he knew Du Xiaofu's experience better than anyone else. All the burdens were on his boss's shoulders. Now that the great calamity of the devil religion was imminent, if they did not have enough strength, when the devil god fully recovered, everyone would die without a burial place. His boss was the person chosen by the master of the 3,000 sectors and the dragon god. Every increase in his strength would bring more hope to the living beings of this world. It should be known that even though the devil god was also greatly suppressed in this world, he still had the peak strength that the living beings of this world could reach, the complete heavenly saint realm. If no one could stand up and lead the living beings with a disdainful attitude to stop the great calamity, then this world could only be turned into a sea of blood and become a devil's realm. Boss, you must do your best, Du Xiaoyao said quietly. In Yinju Mountain, Du Xiaofu's transformation was still ongoing. In Kyushu, the Tianhuan continent, the Chenhuan continent, the ancient wastelands continent, and the beast realm, all living beings were busy with matters of cultivation. However, all of a sudden, some of the supreme experts suddenly felt a trace of fluctuation that continuously entered their senses. At a place where the gloomy, baleful aura gathered, there stood a figure that was as tall as a mountain. This figure just stood there quietly, but it made people feel palpitations and fear for no reason. Thick demonic energy fluctuated from his body, and the terrifying smell of blood filled the world. If one looked closely, they would be able to see mountains of corpses, seas of blood flowing, demons slaughtering, living creatures wailing, and remnant souls howling. As soon as the commotion from the demon realm reached here, the mountain-like figure moved. He gently twisted his body, and the void rumbled as if mountains were collapsing and the earth was cracking. Soon, several figures flew over, stopped in front of the figure, and bowed respectfully. In front of the huge figure, these people were as insignificant as ants in front of an elephant. Lord Demon God! Several figures called out in unison, incomparably respectful. I can sense that the seal of the demon realm has been broken. That kid has become even stronger. The huge figure slowly spoke, and his voice resounded through the 9 heavens. Lord, that kid's breakthrough will definitely bring an even greater obstacle to our devil religion. Why don't we take advantage of the time when he's breaking through to kill him? Someone below said. This time, I will personally make a trip to the demon realm. The fluctuations from there made me feel a familiar aura. It's exactly what I need to recover. The demon god stared into the distance and said, Recovery item. Could it be? The person who spoke earlier spoke again. Go and prepare. Last time, we didn't get the Cosmos pouch. This time, that kid happens to be in the demon realm. We can use him to open that secret place. We can't fail again. The more time we waste, the more variables our devil religion will face. The demon god said. Yes. Several figures below responded in unison, and then quickly retreated. Desolate Country, Stone City. Medicine Saint Yi Wuming was originally explaining some matters to some of the Desolate Country's disciples, but he suddenly felt an unusual movement. He didn't even have time to greet them before he suddenly rushed into the palace hall. When he arrived, there was already an exquisite figure standing there. Yi Wuming glanced over and saw a peerlessly sharp sword floating above the hall. It was Du Xiaofu's Baing, the desolate country's seal of the desolate country. At this moment, the Baing was shining with golden light, and there were 9 huge golden dragon phantoms coiling around it. A vast amount of dragon chi was constantly being absorbed by it. Along with it, the aura in the entire hall was rising, and Yi Wuming felt like he was about to suffocate. He wanted to kneel before the Baing. "Lady Hun Ji, what happened? Why did the Baing undergo such a change?" Yi Wuming took a few deep breaths to calm his emotions before asking the exquisite figure. The strength of the woman in front of him was much higher than his. Furthermore, she had been ordered by Du Xiaofu to stay in the desolate country to prevent the devil religion from attacking. Therefore, even with Yi Wuming's status, he was very polite to this woman. Hun Ji's beautiful eyes were shining with a peerless brilliance. "I sensed a huge movement coming from the demon realm. It seems like someone is breaking through." Hun Ji retracted her gaze and smiled gently at Yi Wuming as her red lips parted slightly. She also had respect for this old man who controlled almost all the trivial matters of the desolate country. At the very least, she was much nicer than Du Xiaofu. "Breaking through? Who is breaking through? How can the commotion be transmitted to the Kyushu?" Yi Wuming was stunned when he heard this, and he looked at her in disbelief. "Didn't that kid go to the demon realm? He should have arrived a long time ago," Hun Ji said, and a ripple appeared in her large seductive eyes. "You mean?" Yi Wuming was even more stunned. He naturally knew who the kid, Hun Ji, was referring to, but he still didn't dare to believe it. However, Hun Ji pursed her red lips and motioned for him to look at the Baing. Then, Yi Wuming seemed to have been petrified as he stood there in a daze. After a long while, he came back to his senses and said uncertainly, "Could it be that the kid is breaking through to the Sky Saint realm? Otherwise, how could there be such a huge commotion? I don't know either, but it should be." "Eh?" Hun Ji said, but then she suddenly turned her gaze to the boundless void and said in an abnormally serious tone, "The demon god seems to be moving." Chapter 2588. The demon god! When Dr. Wuming heard this, his pupils suddenly shrank, and his gaze was filled with intense hostility. "That's right, the demon god has moved. He did not restrain his aura and I sensed it." Hun Ji's eyes flashed with a sharp light. "I can feel the terrifying demon chi surging and rushing in a certain direction. If I'm not wrong, it should be the demon realm. The demon god is going to the demon realm. Will Xiaofu be in danger?" Yi Wuming was shocked and asked hurriedly. He understood that even with Du Xiaofu's current strength, he was one of the few in the entire world. But compared to the demon god, there was still an insurmountable gap. Even if Du Xiaofu was breaking through to the heavenly saint realm, and the demon god had not fully recovered, the gap in strength between the two was still too great. If the demon god was going for him, the consequences would be unimaginable. The demon god did not move earlier or later but chose to go to the demon realm at this time. He is most likely going for that kid, but maybe he has other motives," Hun Ji said. "We can't gamble on this matter, and we can't afford to gamble." Yi Wuming's voice was deep and serious. "I'll immediately make arrangements and inform everyone outside to hurry to the demon realm and help Xiaofu." Hun Ji nodded in agreement and turned to Yi Wuming. "The demon god has made his move and is going to the demon realm. The 9 great demon kings and the rest will probably follow him. So, Kyushu will be relatively peaceful and the desolate country will not be in too much danger. Summon some of the people outside to guard this place and send the rest to the demon realm. I'll go first and meet up with that kid as soon as possible." "All right, I understand," Yi Wuming said. Hun Ji nodded and then her figure changed, turning into a tornado and quickly disappearing from the hall. Yi Wuming also quickly flew out of the hall and went to make arrangements. At this moment, the ancient desolate continent did not experience great turmoil due to the disappearance of the spatial barrier. Instead, it was extremely peaceful. The enmity between the humans and the beast alliance was resolved because of Du Xiaofu, an outsider. The many years of conflict ended and all the enmity disappeared. The days of fighting to the death in the past no longer existed, and both sides began to share all kinds of resources and territories, growing stronger together. The 8 great clans still existed in the human temple. After the Yu clan was annihilated, the Lu clan took its place and became the new 8th clan. On this day, the disciples of the 8 great clans and some other outstanding disciples of the human race were cultivating in the sacred hall. They were cultivating in front of the stone wall that was engraved with the figures of the ancestors of the human race. But all of a sudden, the stone wall that bore the names of all the outstanding human emperors in the sacred hall began to tremble. In an instant, everyone who was cultivating woke up from their meditation and looked at the stone wall in confusion. But before they could see clearly what was happening, a strong force hit them, adding to each and every one of them. Then, with a flash of light, they were all repelled by the strong force at the same time. Then, they appeared in the huge square in front of the sacred hall. Rumble! Everyone looked up and saw the sacred hall growing bigger and bigger, reaching into the sky like a bamboo shoot that was growing rapidly. Violent tremors were heard, as if the earth was shaking and the mountains were swaying. Everyone standing in front of the sacred hall felt a little uneasy, and uneasy feeling was brewing in their hearts. What's happening? Dozens of old figures flew through the air and arrived in front of the sacred hall. Seeing these people, the young disciples of the sacred hall all bowed and saluted. They all knew these people. They were the previous human emperor, the elders of the sacred hall, and the ancestors of the 8 great clans. It's the human emperor. The image of the human emperor's sacred hall is changing. Feng Wanran of the Feng clan looked at the sacred hall and said, "Over there, numerous imposing figures appeared. They radiated with light and carried with them powerful auras, causing everyone's blood to boil. But the most eye-catching figure was the figure at the top. It was a young man in a purple robe, surrounded by purple gold lightning. Beside him, there was another illusory figure standing quietly. At this time, the power of the purple-robed figure overshadowed the light of all the ancestors. The light that bloomed was like the brightest star in the night sky, extremely dazzling. The dragon chi of the sacred hall is fluctuating, becoming more and more powerful," Elder Sun Gu of the Sun Clan said, feeling the change of the dragon chi in the palace. "Such a change has never happened before. It must be the human emperor's breakthrough that caused all of this, and it's not an ordinary breakthrough," Old Lady Jiang of the Jiang clan said in a trembling voice, her eyes full of horror. "Indeed, I can sense that there seems to be a spatial barrier somewhere disappearing. The fluctuations of the human emperor are coming from there," Old Human Emperor said, confirming Old Lady Jiang's words. "All disciples, quickly enter the sacred hall to cultivate." Sun Gu narrowed his eyes and ordered the young disciples in the square. "But we've all been pushed out. The pressure is too great," a young disciple said. "The dragon chi of the sacred hall has increased greatly. Cultivating in the sacred hall will allow you to absorb more and purer energy. Such an opportunity is hard to come by. As long as you can withstand the pressure, it will bring great benefits to your cultivation in the future," the previous human emperor explained. As soon as he said that, the young people in the square looked at each other. Only one of the youths did not even think about it, and directly charged towards the tall lintel of the divine temple. This young man exuded the fluctuations of an initial stage saint. He was Du Xiaofu's disciple, Lin Feng. "Let's go." Seeing this, the rest of the people did not hesitate and began to move forward, resisting the great pressure. Looking at this scene, Old Human Emperor and the other elders nodded silently. All the juniors were the future of the human race. The stronger they were, the more prosperous the human race would be. The human emperor's breakthrough should be infinitely close to the heavenly saint realm, Old Human Emperor said with a gratified smile on his aged face. However, soon, the smile on his face disappeared, and he frowned. The demon god in the outside world has moved. He's heading in the direction of the human emperor. The demon god is heading in the direction of the human emperor. The patriarchs of the 8 big clans were all shocked. They were not unfamiliar with the demon god's ferocious reputation. Sun Gu said anxiously, "The demon god must be looking for the human emperor because of his breakthrough. It will be a great threat to the human emperor, and it will be disadvantageous to him." "That's right. Therefore, I have to go to the outside world as well. I can't let anything happen to the human emperor." The wrinkles on old human emperor's face spread out as he said solemnly. Chapter 2589. Old Emperor, the older generation of our family clans should follow you. I'm afraid the commotion caused by the demonic god will be huge. The old lady from the Sun family looked at the old emperor and said worriedly. The old emperor nodded lightly and said, "Send someone to the Beast Alliance immediately, and inform the Baifang clan's clan leader Huan Huang about the situation in the outside world. This world is no longer peaceful. I'm sure the Baifang Divine Bird clan will be aware of this as well. However, they don't know about the changes in the Divine Palace and don't know how serious the situation is. Tell them to get ready. It looks like the final battle is really coming," Sun Tian said. "Ever since the demonic god broke free, he hasn't made any big moves. He's still recovering and hasn't caused much trouble. However, he suddenly made a big move this time. He didn't even hide his aura and went straight for the human emperor. He must be up to something big. We old bones have stayed in the ancient wilderness continent for countless years. It's time for us to go out and walk around. Just as the human emperor said, only by working together can we fight the devil religion to the end and have a chance of survival," Feng Wanran said with a hint of longing in his eyes. At the same time, he was cautious. Wucha, Ring Yuan, #1 hero, and the other outstanding young talents of the human race have gone to the outside world. It's been quite some time. I wonder how they are doing now. I wonder if they've made any progress under that kid. Let's go. Let's go. After the old emperor finished speaking, the imperial dragon aura on his body swept out and turned into the shadow of a golden dragon. It twisted in the void and a huge black hole appeared. The outside of the hole was glowing with a golden light. Let's go! The rest of the patriarchs of the large families followed the old emperor and entered the hole. Outside world, the demonic god. It's exciting but also terrifying. A voice drifted in the air. The news of the demon god's movements spread like wildfire across Kyushu after many experts discovered it. Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, Jinxin Chun, Lei Tianwang, and the others who were dealing with the devil religion in various parts of the Kyushu continent all set off for the demon realm after receiving Yi Wuming's message. Desolate countries Mo Tian Shao Yeluhan, Dugu Fenshin, Green Fox Monster, Yi Piaoling, Qian Guyu, Heavenly Beast Hall's Guardian Saint Envoys, Heavenly Beast Hall's Guardian Saint Envoys, and the 18 celestial generals of the desolate country also put down their work and gathered in the direction of the demon realm. At the same time, among the dragons in the 4 seas, a strange dragon broke out of its dragon's slumber cave. Its small body soared into the 9 heavens, exuding an aura that could destroy the heavens and the earth, causing everyone among the dragons to tremble in fear. On Wutong Mountain, numerous golden phoenixes floated in the air, fanning flames that could incinerate the heavens. At the border between Tianhuang mainland and the 9 continents, a small qilin surrounded by lightning radiance stood on the peak of a mountain with its back facing the setting sun, gazing into the distance. At the foot of the mountain, there was an army of beasts quietly watching the battle. In the beast region, the great Golden Wing Pink Clan's experts all set off for the demon realm. The Taoist, School of Agriculture, School of Confucianism, School of Moism, and School of Yin-Yang of the 9 great clans received the news at almost the same time. Large groups of experts gathered and set off. The ancient desolate continent was the same. After receiving the humans' message, the older generation of experts charged out of the Beast Alliance. Moreover, Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, and the other young experts were already in Kyushu, so they were a step ahead of the Beast Alliance. The demon god's movements shook the world. All of Kyushu continent's living beings who received the news were in an uproar. Apart from leaving behind a few Sage Realm experts to guard their sects and manage affairs, almost all of the peak experts of the major factions set off for the Demon Realm. Everyone braced themselves and waited for the battle to begin. They all knew that the demon god's movements this time would probably trigger a great calamity. There would definitely be countless casualties, and many people wouldn't be able to return. However, no one was afraid. Because the more they feared someone, the faster they would die. For a time, the Tri-Continent's Kyushu continent was in an uproar. The mighty army of living beings set off for the Demon Realm. Along the way, some people raised their sabers and swords with imposing auras. Some troops marched silently, brewing their killing intent. Some living beings sang war songs that resounded throughout the 9 heavens and 10 earths. However, Du Xiaofu, who was in the Demon Realm, was unaware of all this for the time being. He was still in the process of transcendence, constantly absorbing vast amounts of energy from the outside world into his body through his lightning martial vein. His body was like a bottomless pit. No matter how much energy there was, it could devour it all. However, as time passed, this trend gradually slowed down, and the absorption of energy gradually decreased. The sacred demon temple, Black Water River, and other independent cultivators who were standing in the ruins of the mountain range did not leave. Everyone looked at the purple-robed youth in horror. This time, I wonder how long it will take for Boss to complete the breakthrough, Du Xiaoyao whispered softly. While looking at Du Xiaofu, she also paid close attention to the movements of the outsiders. At such a critical moment, she could not be careless. If someone was in a bad mood and secretly used underhanded means while Boss was breaking through, it would not be good. Hey, someone's coming! Du Xiaoyao's divine soul moved slightly and found that there were many auras coming from the south and the north respectively. These 2 waves of energy were abnormally powerful. They were not weaker than Du Xiaofu's from before. Not long after, 2 ripples appeared in the empty space close to the ground. After which, many figures emerged from the spatial tunnel. The people from the south and the north arrived almost at the same time. Is this young man the human boy from the outside world? He looks really young, but his strength is so terrifying. Half-step to Heavenly Saint, can he reach that level? A group of people came from the north. As soon as they arrived, they began to discuss. Du Xiaoyao looked around. These people were led by a stern-looking old man. They all had the aura of a demon spirit, and were extremely powerful. Especially the old man, who was much more powerful than her. If she were to compare, he should be stronger than Du Xiaofu before his breakthrough. On the other side, there was only one person coming from the south. It was a middle-aged man in black. As soon as the middle-aged man appeared, Du Xiaoyao felt an indescribable sense of viciousness. He had the same aura as Dai Lu and Shui Tu from Black Water River. Needless to say, these 2 people were the experts from the Sacred Demon Temple and Black Water River. Earth Demon Ancestor and Black Water Monarch? Du Xiaoyao said softly, staring at the old man and the man in black. It was not difficult to guess the identity of these 2 experts. They should be the 2 strongest people in the entire demon realm. Sure enough, after they appeared, the people from the Sacred Demon Temple and Black Water River bowed to them. They called them Ancestor and Lord. After the Black Water Monarch arrived, Dai Lu immediately moved forward. Her lips opened and closed as she whispered something. From time to time, she would glance at Du Xiaofu in the air. This action immediately made Du Xiaoyao vigilant. People from Black Water River? I advise you not to have any bad thoughts. Don't die without knowing how you died. Du Xiaoyao hardened her voice and said in a deep voice with a warning. He had never been a person who was afraid of trouble. Even if the other party's strength was above his, it was not enough to make him feel afraid. However, right now, Du Xiaofu was in the middle of a breakthrough and absolutely could not be disturbed. But if the other party was planning something bad, then he would not be afraid. Little brother, what are you talking about? You and the Rock Emperor are brothers. We people from Black Water River have heard of many of your deeds over the years. We admire you very much. How could we have any bad intentions towards the 2 of you? Dai Lu chuckled and waved the feather fan in her hand as she spoke to Du Xiaoyao. The tone of her words was very polite, as if it was from the bottom of her heart. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he heard a sneer. If anyone else had said this, I would have believed it. Even if it came from the mouth of your black water monarch, it would be more credible than what you said. But it was you, Dai Lu, who said this. That would make people laugh their heads off. The ice ancestor of the ice and fire ancestors laughed softly and snorted at Dai Lu with extreme disdain. However, in the face of such provocation, before Dai Lu could speak, the crimson-robed man called Blood Disciple opened his mouth. His voice was filled with extreme coldness. Old thing, if you want to die, I don't mind sending you on your way. Blood Disciple's tone did not fluctuate much, but there was an indescribable coldness in it. Ha! Brother Blood Disciple, there is no need to be angry. The ice ancestor was just joking. Dai Lu laughed when she saw that the fire ancestor beside the ice ancestor was about to fly into a rage. Du Xiaoyao was silent in the face of the confrontation between the two parties. No matter how hostile they were, as long as they did not disturb the leader's breakthrough, they could fight as much as they wanted. In an instant, the atmosphere became a little tense. The people from the sacred monster hall were all glaring at the people from Black Water River. This was especially so for the fire ancestor. If the ice ancestor had not held him back, he would have rushed forward to fight Dai Lu to the death. This is not the time to make a big fuss. Let's see how the kid is doing first, Sang Song said as his gaze swept across the people present. The sacred monster hall and Black Water River had been fighting each other for many years. It was already good enough that they did not start a fight when they met. If it were not for the fact that they were more interested in Du Xiaofu, they would have attacked him long ago. Look, there is a change in that human. At that moment, one of the experts from the sacred monster hall who came with the stone ancestor pointed at Du Xiaofu and said. When everyone heard this, they looked up. At that moment, Du Xiaofu's aura began to undergo an earth-shattering change. Chapter 2590. In front of everyone's eyes, Du Xiaofu's purple robe stuck tightly to his body as if it had been blown by a strong wind. The surging energy that filled the sky was like a raging sea, like raging waves crashing against the shore, rolling up an endless amount of mighty power. With a monstrous aura, it directly hit the purple-robed youth's body. At the same time, thick bolts of lightning also retracted from the thunderclouds. Like giant dragons, they drilled into Du Xiaofu's body. The thunder martial vein retracted, and the 8 bolts of spiritual thunder followed closely behind, whistling as they rushed into the space between his eyebrows. On the ground, an endless amount of earth chi rose, forming a greenish-white haze that was dense and radiant. As for the thunderclouds that filled the sky that could be touched by standing on the ground, after all the power of thunder and lightning had entered Du Xiaofu's body, they slowly retracted with Du Xiaofu as the center. His body surged with a powerful suction force, like a giant whale, crazily swallowing the endless sea water. This process did not last for too long. As the thunderclouds retracted, the world gradually regained its clarity. The living creatures in the demon realm gradually recovered from their panic, but they still looked at all this with some confusion. In the end, when all the thunderclouds had condensed into a ball, it was less than 10 feet in size, and had become dark and glossy. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning suddenly struck out from the last thundercloud, like a majestic waterfall falling from the 9 heavens, directly bombarding Du Xiaofu's head. Boom! The sound of thunder shook the entire demon realm, like the angry roar of the heavens, but also like the roar of a demon god, causing all living creatures to tremble and heaven and earth to tremble. The terrifying sound waves hit the eardrums of every living creature. Even experts like the Earth Demon Grand Ancestor and the Black Water Monarch felt their minds roar for a long time, as if their heads had been hit by a heavy hammer. Needless to say, the other weaker demon spirits all entered a state of dizziness, unable to recover for a long time. However, the strange thing was that such a terrifying tremor did not cause any substantial harm to any of the living beings. It only made them feel dizzy. The weaker demon spirits felt the same as what Patriarch Stone and Monarch Blackwater felt. The only difference was that it lasted longer than what Patriarch Stone and Monarch Blackwater felt. The vast bolt of lightning struck Du Xiaofu's head. Accompanying it was a might that struck fear into all living beings in this world. It was all-pervasive and filled every inch of space. After the lightning bolt was shattered, it turned into waves of lightning and rain, lingering around Du Xiaofu's body. What a terrifying pressure! Is this the majesty of a god? Within Yinzhen Mountain, an expert spoke with a trembling voice. Even Progenitor Wansher, the Black Water Monarch, and the others broke out in cold sweat and ran down their faces. Under their gazes, the purple-robed young man standing in the air was enveloped in lightning and bathed in it. The aura on his body was transforming, soaring in a straight line, becoming more and more powerful. He's already surpassed the peak of the perfected saint stage, and it's still rising, Progenitor Wansher said softly. He looked at Du Xiaofu with deep amazement in his eyes. Has he really become a half-step heavenly saint? The Black Water Monarch also said. His domineering face was expressionless, but his narrowed pupils showed a strong sense of fear. Boss, I really can't beat you this time, Du Xiaoyao murmured, but there was an uncontrollable smile on his handsome face. Just like that, Du Xiaofu's aura continued to soar, and it lasted for more than half a day. Finally, at dawn on the second day, all the aura was suddenly withdrawn and quickly disappeared. On the ground, the earth chi that rose from the ground also sank and dissipated. The purple-robed figure standing in the air slowly opened his eyes, and the aura on his body gradually faded. Unlike before, Du Xiaofu did not show any strong fluctuations after his breakthrough this time. At first glance, he looked extremely ordinary, like an ordinary person without any cultivation. Within those black pupils, there was only a sense of peace and tranquility. However, everyone present knew that the truth was the opposite of what they had seen. It was a manifestation of returning to one's natural state. Is he really a half-step heavenly saint? Dai Lu said unconsciously. The feather fan in his hand was tilted and was about to fall to the ground, but he did not notice it. His question made Progenitor Wansher and Monarch Blackwater nod at the same time to show their affirmation. Now they were finally sure that the purple-robed young man had indeed reached the half-step heavenly saint realm. Whether it was the sacred monster hall, Monarch Blackwater River, or the other rogue cultivators, everyone who came here was powerful and had seen a lot. Although no one had reached this realm for thousands of years, most of them were experts from the Archean age who had survived until now. In the heavenly saint realm, one could pry into the Dharma and logos of heaven and earth, control the Dharma, and go beyond the ultimacy. They were no longer limited to the vast abundance of celestial chi, beast energy, and demonic energy. The most powerful technique in this realm was to pry into the Dharma of heaven and earth, and use it according to the patterns of the Great Way. Although the young man was only a half-step heavenly saint, it was already terrifying enough. At the very least, in the current world, aside from the devil god of the devil sect, no one else could match up to him. Just as everyone was sizing up Du Xiaofu, he also looked around and scanned everyone present. There are so many people here, Du Xiaofu said softly. He descended from the sky and landed in the destroyed mountain range. Boss, let me see how you've changed. Du Xiaoyao held the body of the Tsung mountain skeleton and went up to Du Xiaofu excitedly. She stretched out her hand, which emitted a bright golden light. She exerted her cultivation and pinched Du Xiaofu here and there. And the result also made little demon Du exclaim in admiration. Because no matter what he did, no matter how much strength he used, he was unable to leave a single mark on Du Xiaofu's body, let alone injure him. His physical body was abnormal to such an extent. Get lost, stop fooling around, Du Xiaofu scolded with a smile. He was very happy. He knew very well that his breakthrough this time had allowed him to receive an endless amount of energy. His physical body had also been baptized by the power of thunder. Especially the last thunder that fell like a waterfall, its effect was even more powerful than the purple thunder profound cauldron. It could be said that the current him could directly contend with an expert in the perfect saint stage with just his physical body alone. If he used the power of law, it would be even more difficult to find an opponent. However, Du Xiaofu also realized that he had only made some progress in the law of thunder when he became a half-step heavenly saint. As for the space and other aspects, they were still at the level of ultimacy. Therefore, according to his speculation, as long as he grasped the true meaning of a law, he could become a half-step heavenly saint. When the true meaning of a law he grasped became more and more perfect, he could reach a higher level in the heavenly saint realm. If one day he could completely comprehend the true meaning of a law, he could surpass the heavenly saint realm like his ancestors in the primordial age. If he was lucky enough, he could even merge with the heavenly Tao and surpass all living things. I wonder what kind of realm it would be if I could grasp multiple laws at the same time, Du Xiaofu muttered to himself as he imagined with some anticipation. Previously, his attainments in the space ultimacy were not weaker than the thunder ultimacy. When he was in the ancient desolate fearsome ground, he had obtained the great golden-winged rock clan's space technique, and then comprehended the Fuyao move. It was also extremely profound and powerful. However, because he had fought with the heavenly flame void lightning and merged with it in the end, it had allowed him to take another step forward in the thunder ultimacy and achieve extraordinary achievements. Of course, the law brand that was engraved on his primordial spirit also contributed greatly. At this moment, he only hoped that one day he could comprehend more true meanings of the laws. Before long, Du Xiaofu woke up from his deep thoughts and stopped thinking about it. Instead, he looked at the people present and paused for a while on Ancestor Wan Shi and Lord Blackwater. The two of you must be the legendary Earth Demon Ancestor and Lord Blackwater. Du Xiaofu did not act arrogantly and cupped his fists at the two of them. Looking at the respectful attitude of the people from the Sacred Monster Hall and Blackwater River towards the two of them, and at the same time, the two of them were more powerful than he was before. Therefore, it was not difficult to guess their identities. However, he did not expect that the commotion caused by his breakthrough would attract the attention of these supreme experts at the same time. It was just nice that he did not have to waste time looking for them. This time, Du Xiaofu had come to the demon realm to persuade the demon spirits in this realm to join forces with the living beings in the tricontinent Kyushu realm to fight against the devil religion and the demon god together. He had a favor to ask of them. Therefore, he was not arrogant just because his cultivation was higher than the two of them. Moreover, he was not that kind of person. Greetings, Rock Emperor! Before the Earth Demon Ancestor could speak, Lord Blackwater spoke first and cupped his fists at Du Xiaofu. His attitude was neither servile nor overbearing, and he even faintly exuded a domineering aura. Rock Emperor, have you come to the demon realm for the demon god? On the side of the Sacred Monster Hall, Ancestor Wan Shi's face was expressionless, and he did not return the greeting to Du Xiaofu. Instead, he asked bluntly. In fact, Song Song, the two ancestors of ice and fire, had secretly transmitted messages to him. Therefore, he knew the purpose of Du Xiaofu's visit to the demon realm. Earth Demon Ancestor is right. You should know better than me how terrifying the demon god is. I hope that you can unite with the living beings in the outside world to fight against the devil religion and save the people from the calamity. Du Xiaofu looked at the Earth Demon Ancestor and said seriously. There were many people here who must have experienced the calamity of the Archean era and knew the demon god very well. There was no need for him to waste his breath to say anything. However, when he had come to Yin Mountain and met Sung Song, the two ancestors of ice and fire, Fairy Rosy Clouds, and the others, he had mentioned joining forces to fight against the demon god. However, they did not seem to be willing to get involved. This caused Du Xiaofu to feel somewhat unhappy. Chapter 2591. Young man, you should leave. The demon realm will not get involved in the devil religion, the Earth Demon Patriarch said flatly, directly rejecting Du Xiaofu's proposal. His attitude was unquestionable, and Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows. Haha, Stone Patriarch, I'm afraid the Sacred Demon Palace is not the only one in the demon realm. Before Du Xiaofu could respond, Dai Lu stepped forward gently, waved her feather fan, and said with a smile. Dai Lu, if Blackwater River is willing to get involved, the sacred demon palace will not interfere. But don't forget, if you are distracted, the sacred demon palace can trample Blackwater River to the ground at any time. So I advise you to give up on your idea, and don't bring the devil religion's dispute to the demon realm." The stone patriarch snorted and reprimanded Dai Lu. His words made Du Xiaofu understand why the old ancestor of the earth demon tribe was so firm and had rejected him directly. It seems that this old man is really thinking for the sake of the demon realm. He wants to keep the peace and not get involved in disputes. Because once they established a hatred with the devil religion, it would be a situation where they would fight to the death. At that time, the entire demon realm would be filled with mountains of corpses, rivers of blood, and lives in misery and suffering. So, they cut ties early and made clear the attitude of the demon realm, drawing a line with the devil religion. They would not offend each other, and they would eliminate a strong enemy for each other. It was because of this that the Earth Demon Patriarch warned Dai Lu not to bring the war to the demon realm. If Blackwater River joined the war, the other demon spirits would also be implicated, and the sacred demon palace would not be able to stay out of it. "Senior, you seem to be taking it for granted, don't you think?" Du Xiaofu looked at the Earth Demon Patriarch, narrowed his eyes, and frowned slightly. He said coldly, "You should be clear about the devil religion's purpose. Even if the demon realm can stay out of the war, the devil religion will maintain the same tacit understanding with you. However, once one of the 3 continents and 9 continents falls and becomes a demonic domain, do you think the demonic sect will really let the demon world go?" Du Xiaofu's voice was deep and carried a questioning tone. The Earth Demon Old Ancestor was an old monster who had lived for countless years. He should have understood this. The devil religion was revived and the devil god was restored. Wasn't their ultimate goal to start a massacre in this world? Furthermore, the nourishment of the boundless blood and the nourishment of the Yin spirits of the world was the fundamental reason why a demon god's strength could be enhanced. In primordial times, the lords of the 3,000 vast thousand worlds and the dragon god had chased after the demon god, but none of them had been able to kill him. Other than the fact that the demon god was indestructible in this realm and that foreign experts were suppressed, there had to be other reasons. Du Xiaofu had once speculated that the ancestor of the Du family, who possessed the body of the heavenly Tao, had already fallen, and in this current realm, the demon god was the strongest. If he could surpass the saint realm through killing, he would be able to merge with the way of the heavens like the ancestors of the Du family had done countless years ago. When that time came, this realm would truly become the demon's realm. Just the thought of it was enough to strike fear into anyone's heart. "Young man, I admit that what you said is true. It's just that after the demon realm was sealed, we finally had so many years of peace. But as long as the demon god doesn't attack us, we won't take the initiative to provoke them. Otherwise, the demon realm will never have peace again." Ancestor Wansher stared at Du Xiaofu fiercely, flung his sleeves, and said stubbornly, "You can leave now. The sacred demon temple will never agree to your request. No matter how much you say, it's just a waste of time. After you leave, the sacred demon temple will once again seal the exit of the demon realm and send people to guard it. Unless the demon god himself comes, no one will be allowed to step in." The Earth Demon Old Ancestor's attitude was extremely stubborn. He was like a rock in a latrine, smelly and stubborn. Once he had decided on something, no one else could change his mind. Tsang Song, the 2 patriarchs of ice and fire, Fairy Tsaixia, and the rest of the sacred demon temple were silent. Although they agreed with what Du Xiaofu had said, the old ancestor's words made sense. The future of the demon realm was the most important thing to them. As long as they did not provoke the demon religion, they could form a tacit understanding that they would not offend each other. Not to mention that none of them could change Ancestor Wansher's decision. The old ancestor's temper was just like his name. To put it nicely, he was unwavering. To put it bluntly, he was stubborn. Du Xiaofu was enraged by Ancestor Wansher's words. But just as he was about to speak, Dai Lu from Blackwater River spoke again. "Oh?" Dai Lu replied with an "oh" after Earth Demon Old Ancestor's words. She was still smiling and said to Earth Demon Old Ancestor, The demon religion's calamity is imminent. It will sweep across the world and no one can stay out of it. Only by joining hands and fighting against the demon god to the end can we have a glimmer of hope. Therefore, Blackwater River does not agree with Ancestor Wancher's words at all. Even if we die in battle, it's better than being a coward. Dai Lu's expression was extremely serious. Her words were sonorous and impassioned, and her words were righteous. She had the courage to die honorably. Everyone fell into a short silence and did not speak. The same went for Blackwater Lord. He did not express his opinion and did not refute Dai Lu's words. It was as if he represented himself and Blackwater River. This showed how much the Blackwater Lord trusted and relied on Dai Lu. This scene caused Du Xiaofu to be even more cautious. He had been talking to Earth Demon Old Ancestor all this while, but Dai Lu kept interrupting, not caring about what others thought. Earlier, he'd already been on guard against Dai Lu, and he'd taken Dai Lu to be a ruthless and despicable person that would do anything to achieve his goal. Looking at it now, Dai Lu's words were completely on his side and fully represented the Blackwater Monarch's intentions. In other words, this person seemed to be expressing her righteous indignation and disdain for Wancher's cowardice, but in fact, she might be harboring evil intentions. At the same time, Du Xiaofu was also annoyed by Earth Demon Old Ancestor's stubbornness. Dai Lu, if Blackwater River insists on participating in the calamity of the demon religion, then for the sake of all living beings in the demon world, the sacred demon temple will not sit idly by and allow you to bring the flames of war to the demon world. Wancher glared at Dai Lu and said in a cold voice. He was determined to hide from the world and avoid the calamity. He didn't finish his sentence, but everyone understood what he meant. In other words, if Blackwater River agreed to Du Xiaofu's request, then the sacred demon temple would directly declare war on Blackwater River. In this way, Blackwater River's strength would only be able to deal with the sacred demon temple's encirclement, and would not have time to care about the outside world. As long as they were busy, the sacred demon temple's goal would be achieved. It was better to be a dog in peace than a man in chaos. They did not dare to touch the demon religion, but it was not too difficult to deal with Blackwater River. Haha! I admit that the sacred demon temple controls most of the forces in the demon world. The heavenly demon Old Ancestor has been missing for many years, so your words represent the entire sacred demon temple. In the demon world, no one except Blackwater River dares to disobey you. Dai Lu chuckled and waved the feather fan in her hand. Then, her gaze changed and she looked coldly at Wancher Ancestor. She said coldly, "But what if the sacred demon temple no longer exists in the demon world?" The moment these words were spoken, Du Xiaofu's pupils abruptly shrank. Dai Lu, what a good idea! Du Xiaofu murmured to himself as he looked at Dai Lu. In just an instant, he had completely guessed what this person was thinking. Dai Lu, it seems that you really want to go to war with the sacred demon temple. The Earth Demon Old Ancestor's eyes narrowed. Suddenly, a monstrous aura erupted from his body and rushed toward Dai Lu. Why? Does the sacred demon temple want to attack now? Before Dai Lu could counterattack, the Blackwater Monarch suddenly snorted coldly. A black bubble suddenly formed and blocked the vast aura. Bam! Bam! The two forces collided and exploded, causing ripples to appear in the void and spread out in all directions. Dai Lu ignored Wancher Ancestor and turned to Du Xiaofu. She cupped her fists and said, Rock Emperor, I believe you already know that the Blackwater River and the sacred demon temple have been enemies for a long time. We are like fire and water, and there is no way to resolve our differences. However, the great tribulation of heaven and earth is just around the corner. We are not as cowardly as the sacred demon temple. As long as the Rock Emperor says the word, we swear to fight the devil religion to the death with the people of the world. What a good way to kill with a borrowed knife. Du Xiaoyao stood beside Du Xiaofu and looked at Dai Lu. She muttered, Boss, this guy is really thick-skinned. He obviously wants to use you to deal with the sacred demon temple and eliminate the biggest enemy of the Blackwater River. But when it came out of his mouth, his face didn't turn red, and his heart didn't skip a beat. He even had a righteous look on his face. His face is probably as thick as yours, boss, right? Du Xiaoyao could tell that their boss had just made a breakthrough and had reached half-step Heavenly Saint. There were few opponents in the world who could match him. Dai Lu wanted to use their boss's help to eliminate the sacred demon temple under the condition of cooperation. This kind of action did not lose the character of an ambitious person. You are the one who is thick-skinned, Du Xiaofu retorted. No, boss. You have the immortal Xian body. How can I compete with you? Du Xiaoyao pouted. Du Xiaofu did not continue to bicker with him. Instead, he weighed the pros and cons in his mind. Speaking of which, the sacred demon temple was the orthodox force of all the forces in the demon realm. The Black Water River could only be considered as an independent force. The strength of the two sides were not on the same level. But as Dai Lu said, if there was no sacred demon temple in the demon realm and someone else was in charge, as long as this person was willing to cooperate with him, then this trip to the demon realm could end well. Perhaps, helping the Black Water River get rid of the great ancestor of the Earth demon realm and take control of the demon realm could be a strategy. Just like what he had thought before he went to the dragons, if reason does not work, then use fists to solve it. Chapter 2592. However, Du Xiaofu did not want to kill again unless it was absolutely necessary. Every expert was a force to be reckoned with against the devil religion. If possible, he would try his best not to lose any of them. Unless it was an enemy who would fight to the death, such as the dragon wilderness ancestor. Then again, Du Xiaofu would never allow Dai Lu to use his power to get rid of the sacred demon temple and pave the way for Black Water River. He would never allow Dai Lu to use him as a tool. Moreover, even if he did that, Black Water River would eventually gain control of the entire demon realm. No one could guarantee that Black Water River would not go against him. On the surface, they would say that they would fight against the devil religion together, but behind their backs, they would use the other creatures as shields to protect their own interests. What's more, Dai Lu's tendency to take advantage of the situation might lead to him colluding with the devil religion and attacking the creatures who were originally on the same side as him. This person was extremely shrewd and too good at scheming, so Du Xiaofu could not trust him. However, he did not expose him on the spot. It would be good to let him make a fuss and put some pressure on the sacred demon temple. Perhaps he could gain some bargaining chips in the negotiation. Humph, are you threatening the sacred demon temple? The earth demon ancestor's face darkened. He glanced at Dai Lu and the Black Water Lord, and finally fixed his eyes on Du Xiaofu. It seemed that his question was not directed at Black Water River, but at Du Xiaofu. Because the situation depended entirely on Du Xiaofu's attitude. If he agreed with Dai Lu and wanted to stand up for Black Water River, the situation would not end well. This old thing is not only stubborn, but also stupid. Hearing Ancestor Wanchu's words, Du Xiaofu's face stiffened and he cursed in his heart. He had not expressed his stance yet. It was Dai Lu who wanted to drag him into this mess. However, Ancestor Wanchu did not seem to notice it at all and directly targeted him. Did this mean that he had fallen into Dai Lu's trap? He glanced at the Black Water River and saw that the Black Water Monarch was still calm and collected. He couldn't tell if he was happy or angry. However, Dai Lu had an unfathomable smile on her face at this time. Her heart must be like what Du Xiaofu had guessed. She was secretly feeling great. Du Xiaofu was a little melancholy, and he felt deeply helpless against the Earth Demon ancestor. Someone dug a hole to bury you and gave you a gentle push. Not only did you not resist, you even took advantage of the force to jump in. He had seen stupid people, but not such a fool. Earth Demon Ancestor, I don't have too much time to waste. My purpose in coming to the demon realm is to form an alliance with you, not to kill you. But if you're really stubborn, then I'll have to join forces with Heishui River. At worst, I'll just have to spend a little more effort to turn the demon realm into an iron plate. I hope you can calmly consider the pros and cons. The devil religion may not attack the demon realm for now, but in the end, they will not let you go. You have to understand that although I don't want to fight here, I don't mind using my fists to solve the problem if I have to. I think someone would be happy to see that, Du Xiaofu said as he flicked his sleeve gently. This action did not release any ripples of energy, but an indescribable ripple spread through the surroundings, causing everyone's hearts to sink. At such a realm, he could manipulate the forces of heaven and earth with just a wave of his hand. It was inexplicably terrifying. Du Xiaofu's last sentence to Ancestor Wan Shi was a reminder. What he meant was, I want to sit down and talk, but don't force me to fight. Blackwater River has set you up, and that's exactly what they want. Boss, why are you talking nonsense with this old thing? Since you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, why don't we just eliminate them? Du Xiaoyao couldn't help but take a step forward. A powerful aura erupted from his body as he rushed towards the sacred demon palace. Du Xiaofu stopped her and secretly explained to Du Xiaoyao not to act rashly. He had other plans in mind. The sacred demon temple was firm, and the Blackwater River was untrustworthy. If there was no other way, he could only uproot these two forces and install a new leader in the demon realm. Du Xiaofu had already thought of a candidate, and it was Du Xiaoyao, who had the body of a red-boned horse. However, as he said, he did not want to take this step unless it was absolutely necessary. Destroying the sacred demon temple and the Blackwater River would cause great losses to both sides, and the entire demon realm would be riddled with holes. Every time one of those experts died, the strength to deal with the devil religion would be reduced by a little. Demon King Du Xiaofu, Rock Emperor of the Barren Country, if you want to join forces with the Blackwater River to deal with the sacred demon temple, let's take it. I'd like to see how powerful you are, as a half-step heavenly saint expert. Ancestor Wan Shi's firm old face was full of sternness, and his words were tough. It was just that he did not know what he was relying on to dare to challenge Du Xiaofu. He knew that Du Xiaofu had reached the half-step heavenly saint realm, and no one in the entire demon realm could defeat him. If he really wanted to deal with the sacred demon temple, the outcome would be predictable. Du Xiaofu could not figure out what this old thing was thinking. He would rather lead the sacred demon temple to fight him to the death than to form an alliance with him to deal with the devil religion. Could it be that this old stone's brain was really a smelly and stubborn stone that could not be twisted? Ancestor. At this time, not only Du Xiaofu, but also Tsung Song, the two ancestors of ice and fire, Fairy Caixia, and the other experts from the sacred demon temple could not sit still. Although they supported the Earth Demon Patriarch's decision to stay out of harm's way, it was not a wise decision to provoke a great enemy like the purple-robed youth. What was the difference between this and starting a war with the devil religion? Was it just to vent their anger? Ha ha! On the other hand, Dai Lu from the Blackwater River could not help but chuckle. Du Xiaofu glanced at him indifferently. In this person's heart, he was probably overjoyed. Ancestor. Fairy Caixia hurriedly stepped forward. She wanted to say something but was interrupted by the Earth Demon Ancestor with a wave of his hand. Say no more! I am the Earth Demon Ancestor of the Sacred Demon Temple. What I say represents the will of the entire Sacred Demon Temple, Ancestor Wan Shi said firmly. Now that we have said this, if you want to start a war, why don't we do it now? Although a half-step heavenly saint is powerful, the sacred demon temple is not afraid of him. These words came out of the Earth Demon Ancestor's mouth. The next moment, waves of violent and domineering aura swept out from his old and sturdy body. The demonic energy shook and spread out in all directions, covering the people from the Blackwater River, Du Xiaofu, and Du Xiaoyao. The complete sacred demon realm's strength was displayed, and the sky trembled. The space was distorted, and the light of the rising sun, which had risen above the horizon, became blurry. At the same time, except for Du Xiaofu, everyone felt a strong pressure on their primordial spirits. Even Lord Blackwater from the Blackwater River was no exception. He was forced to take half a step back. His strength was slightly weaker than Ancestor Wan Shi's, so it was completely reasonable for him to be in such a situation. Are they going to start a war just because of a disagreement? Where does this old guy get his courage and courage from? Du Xiaoyao's eyes were blazing with golden light, but he did not make any moves. Because Du Xiaofu was protecting him, the aura released by Ancestor Wanshi did not affect him much. Boss, I have tolerated this old thing for a long time. Let's do it! Du Xiaoyao was not afraid of trouble. Since the Earth Demon Ancestor had gone this far, he had made his attitude clear. Since he wanted to solve the problem with his fists, they would do as he wished. Anyway, with their boss here, they would not be afraid of the sacred demon temple. Wait a minute, the Earth Demon Ancestor's attitude is so tough. He must not be stupid. After all, he is an old monster who has lived for so many years. He must have some tricks up his sleeve. Du Xiaofu gently pulled Du Xiaoyao back, telling him not to act rashly. Lord Blackwater, Dai Lu, Blood Disciple, and the rest of the people from the Blackwater River saw the Earth Demon Ancestor's actions. They gathered their vast auras and prepared to attack. The battle was about to start. However, after Du Xiaofu spoke, they restrained themselves and looked at the Earth Demon Ancestor in confusion. Sure enough, the Earth Demon Ancestor's next move was just as Du Xiaofu had expected. Above his aged body, his aura was still rising. The vast majestic impact caused all the rocks on the ground to emit a faint glow and fly away in all directions. The Earth Demon Ancestor Wanshi's original body was a rock. After countless years of wind and rain, he had developed spiritual intelligence and had a deep connection with the earth and rocks. Under the control of his will, huge rocks flew across the sky, whistling through the air and piercing through the void. Then, the aura on his body reached its peak. Waves of strange aura spread out and enveloped him. It looked as if there were roots growing under his feet, taking root in the ground and becoming one with the rocks. Brother, the sacred demon temple is in danger. You have disappeared for so many years. It is time for you to come back. The Earth Demon Ancestor murmured as he looked at the boundless void with determined eyes. As soon as he finished speaking, a thin ray of light lit up between his eyebrows. It was as if a vertical eye had opened. It was strange and mysterious. This is... When this vertical eye appeared, Du Xiaofu's eyebrows twitched. He stared blankly at the Earth Demon Ancestor as astonishment rose in his heart. Boss, that aura seems familiar, Du Xiaoyao said, looking at the vertical eye of the Earth Demon Ancestor with confusion. Chapter 2593. It's very familiar, but I can't be sure yet. Du Xiaofu nodded blankly as he stared at Patriarch Wanshi. Just as Du Xiaoyao had said, when the slender light appeared between the Earth Demon Patriarch's eyebrows, he had also sensed a faint, familiar aura. This familiar aura caused Du Xiaofu and Du Xiaoyao to feel puzzled at the same time. What is Patriarch Wanshi trying to do? Dai Lu frowned and asked doubtfully from the Blackwater River's side. He had wanted to attack directly and start a real war. Then, his plan would succeed. He could use the purple-robed young man to defeat the sacred demon palace. Even if Patriarch Wanshi regretted his decision because of the power of a half-step heavenly saint, it would be too late to negotiate. However, they could not disobey Du Xiaofu's order not to attack. If they angered this human youth, all their plans would be for naught. They might even cause losses to the Blackwater River. However, Dai Lu could not remain calm as he watched the Earth Demon Patriarch's actions. He seemed to have sensed danger. Anxiety appeared on his face, which had always been under control. At this moment, he felt a little uneasy. Under everyone's gaze, the thin ray of light on Ancestor Wanshi's forehead grew brighter and brighter. It looked like a bolt of silver lightning, tearing open a wound on his forehead. Those with weaker cultivations would feel as if they were looking directly at the scorching sun just by glancing at it. Their eyes would feel a burning sensation as if they were looking directly at the scorching sun. They had no choice but to look away. They did not dare to look at it again. However, Du Xiaofu, the Blackwater Monarch, and the others did not receive too much stimulation. In their eyes they saw that as the thin line of light became brighter and brighter, it was also slowly expanding and changing its patterns. In the end, it formed a flame pattern. The flame pattern was branded on Patriarch Wanshi's forehead. It danced and flickered when the wind blew. The strangest thing was that while the flames were bouncing, there were also ripples of the power of thunder and lightning, which were releasing electric arcs in a crackling sound. Ha! As Patriarch Wanshur shouted, the flame flashed and disappeared from between his eyebrows. It then reappeared in the air. During this process, the flame expanded rapidly. Its light soared into the sky and completely overshadowed the sun's brilliance. The flame flickered, and the void collapsed. Scorching heat waves spread between heaven and earth. In the destroyed mountain, even the rocks were melted and turned into ashes. Bolts of lightning were mixed within the flames, slashing horizontally and vertically, wreaking havoc in all directions, striking out numerous cracks in space. Boundless pressure swept out and spread out in this area. It was as if a deity from the primordial times had descended. It was so terrifying that everyone's expression. Those who were weaker were instantly drenched in sweat and had no choice but to retreat far away. I know you're still alive. You won't die. You were the one who built the sacred demon temple, but you haven't done anything for so many years. You disappeared for so many years. You're really enjoying being a hands-off boss. Patriarch Wanshur looked at the burning flame and said softly, "The great calamity of the world is imminent, and all living things will be wiped out. At this time, I chose to protect myself, not because I was afraid, and not out of selfishness. You were the one who founded the sacred demon temple and unified the demon realm. That's why we've enjoyed so many years of peace. It wasn't easy to achieve all of this. I can't just watch all of this go to waste in my hands. I don't have the right to do so. So, you shouldn't be so carefree outside. It's time for you to come out and show your face." Patriarch Wanshur continued. He looked at the flame with nostalgia in his eyes. It was as if he was looking at an old friend who he hadn't seen for a long time. The rest of the people present were also staring at the flames in the sky like Ancestor Wanshur. However, their eyes were filled with confusion. Almost no one understood what Patriarch Wanshur was mumbling about. Who was the you he was talking about? I know, it's the Heavenly Demon Patriarch. It must be the Heavenly Demon Patriarch. Fire Patriarch, one of the two patriarchs of ice and fire, suddenly shouted. His voice was so loud that it made everyone's ears buzz. But this shout caused everyone to be stunned, and then they seemed to have been enlightened and came to an understanding. That's right. The Heavenly Demon Patriarch has disappeared for so many years. Before he left, he must have taught Patriarch Wanshur how to summon him. When the sacred demon temple is in danger, he must have sent a message to Patriarch Wanshur to save the sacred demon temple. Among the demon spirits of the itinerant cultivators, Broken Sword, who rarely spoke. Rumor has it that the Heavenly Demon Patriarch is extremely powerful. When he was at his peak, his cultivation was close to the Heavenly Saint realm. Back then, he single-handedly created the Holy Demon Realm and unified the Demon Realm. After that, he handed over the power to Ancestor Wanshur and disappeared. No one knows where he went. There has been no news of him for so many years. No wonder. If the Heavenly Demon Patriarch is still alive, he must be as powerful as the young man. Could this be the trump card that Patriarch Wanshur has been hiding all this time? No wonder his attitude is so tough. He did not even flinch in the face of a half-step Heavenly Saint. If the Heavenly Demon Patriarch really sensed a change here and came here in person, the situation will change even more. Even if the young man has just stepped into the half-step Heavenly Saint realm, he will not be able to defeat the Heavenly Demon Patriarch. After so many years, will the Heavenly Demon Patriarch become even more terrifying? I don't dare to say anything else, but the Blackwater River will definitely be in trouble. The demon spirits were in an uproar. While they were shocked, they began to discuss among themselves. For most people, the Heavenly Demon Patriarch was very mysterious. He only existed in legends, and few people had seen his real face. However, no one dared to doubt his strength. It could be said that if the Heavenly Demon Patriarch had never left the sacred demon hall, the Blackwater River would not have existed for so many years. How could he have allowed them to dominate the sacred demon hall and call themselves kings? In the eyes of the heavenly demon patriarch, the Blackwater monarch, Dai Lu, Shui Tu, and the others were just a mob. The heavenly demon patriarch. Du Xiaofu looked at the flames in the sky and muttered to himself, his eyelids twitching non-stop. Through the aura fluctuating from the flame, they could almost determine who the heavenly demon patriarch was. This confirmation shocked them greatly. At the same time, they were deeply speechless. Boss, could it be? Du Xiaoyao was also shocked. She looked at Du Xiaofu blankly, trying to figure out something from his face. However, Du Xiaofu did not speak. He only nodded, indicating that Du Xiaoyao's guess was correct. They were quite familiar with that person's identity. Heh. When that guy shows up and directly expresses his support for me, the heavenly demon patriarch's face will be very interesting. Du Xiaofu suddenly chuckled, suppressing a belly full of laughter. Heh. This stubborn old thing is too hateful. Later, I must teach him a lesson so that he dares to be presumptuous again. Du Xiaoyao laughed out loud at the same time, brewing a wicked plan in her mind. The two did not say anything, nor did they expose the truth. They just silently held back their wicked ideas. High in the sky, the flame was still burning. Amidst the vast pressure and the pervasive heatwave, strange ripples spread out in all directions. They went far beyond the boundaries of the demon realm and reached the entire 3 continents and 9 provinces. Everyone knew that this was the means to send a message to the heavenly demon patriarch. As long as he was not dead, he would definitely know the situation here. He would rush here with all his strength and become the most powerful backer of the sacred demon hall. The only thing he wasn't sure about was how long this process would take. So what if he's the heavenly demon patriarch? He hasn't appeared for thousands of years, and we don't know whether he's dead or alive. Dai Lu suddenly spoke up. His usually calm face had an indescribable solemnity. After exchanging a look with the Lord of Blackwater, the top military advisor of Blackwater River continued. Even if he's not dead, it will take a lot of time for him to rush here. I just don't know if the sacred demon hall can hold on until then. If Blackwater River wants to fight, go ahead. There are no cowards in the sacred demon hall, and we will fight until the end. Sang Song glared and retorted. The 2 ancestors of ice and fire, Rosy Cloud's fairy, and the others also glared at Dai Lu, their auras surging, ready to attack at any time. Dai Lu's intention was quite clear. He wanted to take down the sacred demon hall before the heavenly demon patriarch returned. By then, what was done could not be undone. Even if the heavenly demon patriarch's cultivation was high, it would not change anything. With the young man with the strength of a half-step heavenly sage, the final outcome was still uncertain. Of course, the most important person was the purple-robed young man. As long as he nodded, today's matter would be considered a success. Rock Emperor, although I, Dai Lu, am not a good person, and the method that Blackwater River cultivates is not very honorable in the eyes of outsiders, we have the most sincere intention to cooperate with you. After destroying the sacred demon hall, we will unite all the creatures in the demon realm to fight against the demon god together, and fight for the people of this world. Dai Lu's robe fluttered, and he held a feather fan in his hand. He clasped his fists at Du Xiaofu and spoke fervently, sonorously, and with indescribable sincerity and freedom, as if the sun and the moon could express his loyalty. This person, he still hasn't given up his evil intentions. Du Xiaofu sighed in his heart, deeply moved by Dai Lu's style. He also knew what the return of the heavenly demon patriarch meant to the Blackwater River. So, Dai Lu's actions were like a cornered dog jumping over a wall. Chapter 2594. Boss, I'll beat that guy up first. Du Xiaoyao was annoyed, and her impression of Dai Lu became even worse. What kind of bullshit was this Blackwater River top military advisor? He seemed to treat everyone else as fools and was determined to use Lin Fan as a knife. If Lin Fan did not beat him up, he would really think that Lin Fan was wise and resourceful. No hurry! Du Xiaofu stopped Du Xiaoyao and turned to look at Dai Lu. His eyes did not linger on Dai Lu for long, but on the Black Water Monarch. After all, the black-robed middle-aged man, who exuded a domineering aura, was the real master of the Black Water River. Du Xiaofu smiled at the Black Water Monarch and said, "Since the heavenly demon patriarch, who has been missing for many years, is about to appear, we might as well wait a little longer. Ever since I entered the demon realm, I have heard of the heavenly demon patriarch's name many times. If I can see him with my own eyes, my trip here will not be in vain. Who knows, maybe the heavenly demon grand ancestor and I can become friends despite the difference in age and agree to my request. If that's the case, the heavenly demon patriarch will not stop me, right?" As Du Xiaofu spoke, he turned to look at the heavenly demon patriarch and smiled at him. The people from the Sacred Monster Temple and the Black Water River, as well as the other rogue cultivators, did not quite understand the look in Lin Fan's eyes. "Humph, young man, you still haven't given up, have you?" The heavenly demon patriarch snorted and said reluctantly, "If that old guy comes back and really agrees with you and wants to cooperate with you, I have no reason to stop him. After all, the Sacred Monster Temple was founded by him, and he has the final say in everything. I'm just taking care of it on his behalf. Haha, let's wait and see." Du Xiaofu smiled faintly and looked inexplicably relaxed. The onlookers looked at each other and felt confused. They did not understand where the purple-robed young man got his confidence from. Unlike his previous aggressive attitude, he no longer said that he would destroy the Sacred Monster Temple and integrate the forces of the demon realm. At this moment, he looked mysterious and seemed to be quite confident in defeating the heavenly demon patriarch. However, no one asked such a question. Du Xiaofu did not say anything. He stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the flame in the sky. The rest of the onlookers also, they were waiting for the heavenly demon patriarch to arrive. "I hope the heavenly demon patriarch was. Of the was. On the other hand, the monarch of Black Water, as the master of Black Water River, was not as nervous as Dai Lu. Instead, he seemed to be at ease. Was. The of was not to stop, was not to burn to the total the was, to the was, of course, the was, suppressed was the terrible temperature was pervasive, the air seemed to be on the verge of being ignited. The ground under everyone's feet had melted into a pool of magma, turning into a stream that flowed through the uneven mountain range, making gurgling sounds. On the flame, there was a strange fluctuation that was constantly emitted to the outside world, conveying information. Time passed slowly. Except for Du Xiaofu and Du Xiaoyao, everyone thought that the waiting process would take a long time. Because no one knew where the heavenly demon patriarch was. But it was almost certain that he should not be in the demon realm, otherwise he would not have shown up for so many years. If he was not in the demon realm, then he could only be in the outside world. And to come here from the outside world, even if one's cultivation was very high, it would not be possible to reach here in 3 to 4 hours. It might take a few days. The people here were all people with extraordinary strength, and they had enough patience. "Boss, we have been in the demon realm for many days. With that old guy's speed, he should have come in a long time ago, right?" Du Xiaoyao asked Du Xiaofu. Her body was filled with golden light to resist the scorching heat emitted by the flame in the air. "He should have already come in. I think it won't be long before he gets here." Du Xiaofu nodded and said with certainty. Not long after he finished speaking, the ball of flame in the air indeed underwent a further change. "Look, there's movement!" Fire Ancestor of the Ice and Fire Ancestors pointed to the sky and shouted excitedly. In fact, there was no need for his reminder. Everyone had already seen the change there. The ferocious flames at the head of the fire began to shrink rapidly. As it shrank, the light of the flame became brighter and more dazzling. In the air, the terrifying temperature did not decrease, but instead increased. It was so hot that the Sage Realm cultivators felt a burning pain in their bodies. The void around the flames was completely pitch black. It was the result of being directly burned through, and it couldn't even heal. A terrible aura was brewing and rising, filling every inch of space. Is the heavenly demon patriarch about to appear? How can it be so fast? Is he really still alive? Everyone kept talking, shocked by the scene in front of them. He's here, Du Xiaofu said with a smile, his eyes full of joy. In everyone's eyes, the flame quickly condensed to the size of a palm, then suddenly tightened and turned into a bright line, no longer in the shape of a flame. Boom! This bright line transformed into a bolt of lightning, dragging a long and winding trajectory as it abruptly descended from the sky, directly striking a mountain rock not far from the crowd. After the thunder and lightning, a large pit with a radius of hundreds of feet appeared on the ground, and no one knew how deep it was. The heavenly thunder stirred up the earthly fire. Then, with a zing sound, a ball of flame suddenly sprung up in the big pit, flickering incessantly. Hee, so many people here, are you all here to welcome me? The flame in the pit quickly changed and condensed into a human figure. Then an old man appeared. The old man had long fiery red hair and wore a blue robe. His abdomen was so high that it almost broke the robe, making him look like a Maitreya Buddha. His body did not have an overbearing and fierce aura. Instead, it gave off the feeling of an old man who did not respect himself. Everyone looked at the old man with different expressions on their faces. Especially on the side of the sacred demon temple, everyone's eyes were unconsciously filled with respect. The old man in front of them was the legendary heavenly demon patriarch, the strongest person who unified the demon realm back then. Such a strong person could not be judged by his appearance. Greetings, heavenly demon patriarch! The two ancestors of ice and fire, Fairy Rosy Clouds, Song Song, and the others stepped forward and bowed to the heavenly demon patriarch. The heavenly demon patriarch grunted in response. Brother! Seeing the old man appear, Ancestor Wansher called out softly. His face, which was as unchanging as a rock, was brewing with excitement, and he was about to lose control. Oh, it's Little Stone. Long time no see. You've grown so old. I almost didn't recognize you. The chubby old man looked at Ancestor Wansher and said with a smile. Patriarch Wansher felt more at ease when he saw how relaxed Duan Lingtian was. You're finally willing to come back. Not long after, Ancestor Wansher suppressed the excitement in his heart and said to the chubby old man with a hint of displeasure. I had no choice. I encountered some situations in the outside world and only managed to escape a few years ago. My strength was greatly reduced, and I'm afraid it will take some time for me to fully recover. But for so many years, the sacred demon palace has been really hard on you. When the blue-robed fat old man finished speaking, his tone was filled with gratitude. Ancestor Wansher shook his head and said, You built the sacred demon temple single-handedly. I was only entrusted by you to be the Earth Demon Patriarch. Now that you're back, I'll return the sacred demon temple to you in one piece. Don't. You've been running the sacred demon temple for so many years. It's better for you to control it. I still have many matters to attend to, and I can't leave to take care of the sacred demon temple. Ancestor Sky Demon waved his hand and said, I don't think that's a good idea. Ancestor Wansher immediately said, but Ancestor Sky Demon interrupted him. What's wrong with that? Cut the crap. It's decided. Ancestor Sky Demon was very straightforward. He did not care about Ancestor Wansher's opinion and turned to look at Du Xiaofu, leaving the back of his head red. Old man, you've finally seen us. Du Xiaoyao stepped forward and said to the chubby old man. This old man was a familiar face to both Du Xiaoyao and Du Xiaofu. He was Huolei Laozu. However, they were already mentally prepared after Ancestor Wansher used the flame technique. Hence, they were not too surprised when Huolei Laozu appeared. Boy, how can you talk to your patriarch like that? You have no respect for your elders. Huolei Laozu glared at Du Xiaoyao, angered by the words, Old man. I didn't expect you to be Ancestor Sky Demon. Why haven't I heard you mention it before? Du Xiaofu took over the conversation and asked Master Huolei curiously. Before this, he and Du Xiaoyao would never have thought that the legendary Ancestor Sky Demon was actually Huolei Laozu. This old man had hidden himself too well. Of course. I'm your patriarch. You can't see through me. Hualezi raised his head and shook it. He was indescribably pleased with himself. Seeing this, Du Xiaofu just smiled and said, Ancestor, you're a bit slow. We've been in the demon realm for many days now. If you didn't come, we would have really fought with the sacred demon temple. The fruits of your hard work might be taken away by me if I'm not careful. Chapter 2595. Kid, you should have some conscience when you speak. As soon as I received your message, I immediately set off and rushed here. I didn't delay at all on the way. Fire Thunder Ancestor glared at him and said unhappily, How dare you threaten to wipe out the entire sacred demon palace? Hualei Laozu was so angry that he wanted to slap Du Xiaofu to death. The people from the sacred demon temple, Black Water River, and the rogue cultivators from the demon realm were all shocked when they saw this scene. All of them looked at each other before turning to look at the human youth and the heavenly demon patriarch. So they knew each other. Everyone realized that Du Xiaofu and Du Xiaoyao had known the heavenly monster patriarch for a long time. Moreover, the relationship between the two was definitely not ordinary. The heavenly monster patriarch had even called himself a patriarch in front of them. Everyone was enlightened. It was no wonder that the human youth did not stop the heavenly monster patriarch when the heavenly monster patriarch unleashed the lightning flames. He only said that he wanted to see the heavenly monster patriarch's true face. Needless to say, he must have seen through the truth and learned the heavenly monster patriarch's identity. The heavenly monster patriarch is still alive and is an old acquaintance of the Rock Emperor. Dai Lu was stupefied in the crowd. No matter how much he calculated, he had never considered this point. Dai Lu was in despair. Du Xiaofu had just become a half-step heavenly saint and everyone present had seen it. The heavenly monster patriarch had been famous for a long time and was undoubtedly powerful. Even though he had admitted that his cultivation had been damaged due to some unforeseen circumstances, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. If these two powerhouses were on the same side, it would be a disaster for Black Water River if they were to pursue the matter because of his earlier aggression. Unconsciously, a trace of panic crept onto Dai Lu's face. Finally, you know fear! Du Xiaoyao looked at him and sneered. He despised Dai Lu very much in his heart. If it weren't for the fact that he still had important matters to attend to, he would have gone up and taught him a lesson long ago. Brat, you're not bad. You've actually broken through to half-step heavenly saint. On the other side, Hualei Laozu and Du Xiaofu started to get serious after arguing for a while. On his way here, he had already sensed the commotion in this place. He had also noticed that Du Xiaofu was making a breakthrough. This result made him feel very gratified. The great calamity was about to arrive. Every bit of improvement in one's strength would increase one's chances of survival by a bit. I obtained the sky flame void lightning that I had cultivated to the peak of perfection of the Saint Demon stage in the Yinen Mountain. After fusing with it, my comprehension of the laws of lightning improved greatly. It was precisely because of this that I took advantage of the opportunity to make a breakthrough. Du Xiaofu gave a brief account of what had happened earlier, and Hualei Laozu couldn't help but nod. I originally wanted to take you to find the spiritual thunder after the demon realm was settled, but I didn't expect you to obtain the 9 underworld demonic thunder from the devil sex Jialo Jumi, and then encounter the heavenly flame void lightning here. I have to say, this is your opportunity, Hualei Laozu said as he stared at Du Xiaofu. He warned solemnly, but don't be complacent, brat. Although you have the strength of a half-step heavenly saint, when the demon god was at his peak, he could kill a cultivator like you with one slap. It wouldn't take much effort for him to do so. You can only deal with the upcoming calamity if you continue to improve your strength. I understand. I don't dare to slack off. Du Xiaofu understood Hualei's words. He just nodded solemnly. The demon god was in the midst of recovering, and no one knew how far he was from his peak. Before coming to the demon realm, the 9 demon emperors of the devil religion had gone out together to intercept the general and the others in the ice cave. Their goal was to find the Qianquan bag passed down in Tianwu Academy. It seemed that there was something in it that was related to the demon god's recovery. Du Xiaofu felt more and more anxious. Although the Qianquan bag was still with him, there was no guarantee that the devil religion didn't have other methods to find the demon god. Old brother, are we really going to join hands with this human and wage war against the devil religion? Ancestor Wanshi, who was standing at the side, saw that Huolei Zi and Du Xiaofu were deep in conversation and couldn't help but ask. Huolei Laozi glanced at Ancestor Wanshi and said slowly, "The demon god has broken free and is making a comeback. His goal is to slaughter the living beings of this world and reach a higher level. During the primordial age, the ruler of the 3,000 worlds and the dragon god couldn't do anything to him. If this world really turns into a demon realm in the future, it will be even harder for the two of them to deal with him." Du Xiaofu agreed with Ancestor Wanshi's words. Therefore, just like what I said earlier, the demon god won't let you go just because the demon realm doesn't participate in the war. Only if all the living beings of this world unite and fight against the calamity will there be a glimmer of hope. Huolei Laozi nodded. He looked at Ancestor Wanshi and sighed. During the primordial age, there was still a supreme expert who suppressed the demon god. Otherwise, this world would have been destroyed long ago. Many people were puzzled when they heard this. Who was this supreme expert that the heavenly demon ancestor was talking about? Was he more powerful than the legendary ruler of the 3,000 worlds and the dragon god? How could he suppress the demon god for so many years? Only Du Xiaofu knew that the supreme expert that Master Huolei was talking about was the ancestor of the Du family, the heavenly Tao. Actually, I'm more worried that after the demon god recovers, he will transcend one of the laws and reach the same level as our ancestor. If that's the case, we will never be able to deal with him, Du Xiaofu said softly with a strong sense of worry. Once the demon god transcended one of the laws and merged with the heavenly Tao, he would become the heavenly Tao. Then, no one would be able to kill him. This was because the heavenly Tao was the supreme existence that ruled over all living beings and controlled this world. The only thing that could destroy him was the invisible heavenly Tao's rules. Your concern is reasonable, but it's a little unnecessary, Huolei Laozi said. Let's not talk about whether the demon god has the ability to reach that level. Even if he can, I'm afraid it'll be after this world has completely fallen. For us, it's too early to talk about it. Also, according to my understanding, the demon god is not the kind of person who can abandon his selfish desires. He won't give up a bigger plan in order to control this world. After Du Xiaofu heard this, he immediately understood. He had to admit that Huolei Laozi's words made sense. This world was suppressed. In other worlds, the demon god was in existence on the same level as the ruler of the 3,000 worlds and the dragon god. In order to get rid of the pursuit, he would be limited to this world. He was afraid that he would really be unwilling. If he went to the outside world, he would definitely obtain an even more terrifying improvement. His goal was to surpass the ruler of the 3,000 worlds and the dragon god. Besides, if the demon god really merged with this world, it might not be a bad thing. Because the heavenly Tao was ruthless and selfless, a demon god who had achieved the heavenly Tao's body was no longer a demon god. As long as he had selfish thoughts, he would be directly wiped out by the heavenly Tao's rules. I understand now. Du Xiaofu nodded gently and turned to Patriarch Wanshi. The devil religion's calamity is coming. No one in this world can stay out of it. So, other than joining forces with us, the demon realm has no other choice. Like I said before, if the heavenly demon patriarch of the sacred demon palace agrees to my proposal, Senior, you won't object, right? Of course, I'm a man of my word. My elder brother left the sacred demon palace to me. I'll listen to him. Patriarch Wanshi nodded, but he did not seem to be in a difficult position. That's great. Du Xiaofu smiled happily and felt a lot more relaxed. At this point, after many twists and turns, he had finally achieved the purpose of his trip to the demon realm. In the 3 continents Kyushu world, all the living beings in this world were united. Only the 9 great families legalism, school of famous names, school of vertical and horizontal, and a few other forces were still opposing him. Even if the demon god came with great momentum, it would still take a lot of effort to shake the foundation of this world. Kid, there's nothing else to do here. Let's not waste any more time. Let's hurry up and look for the rest of the spiritual thunder. Hualazi urged Du Xiaofu with his big belly. But just as he finished speaking, Song Song stepped forward and cupped his fists. Patriarch, how should we deal with the people of Heishui River? I almost forgot about that. Du Xiaofu slapped his forehead. In his excitement, he had forgotten about Heishui River. He looked at Patriarch Wanshi and said, Patriarch, you are the master of the sacred demon palace. I'll leave it to you to decide. I'll leave it to you. I'm not fit to make this decision, Patriarch Wanshi said. As the Patriarch of the Earth Demon Palace, he was at odds with Heishui River. If he had to make a decision, there would only be one outcome, which was to destroy Heishui River. But now that they were preparing for war with the devil religion, it was not the right time to start a war. So, it was better to leave it to this young man. That's fine too. Du Xiaofu did not refuse. After glancing at Dai Lu, he said to Monarch Blackwater, The sacred demon palace and Heishui River have been at odds for a long time, and there is no way to resolve it. But now that the devil religion is facing a great calamity, I hope that you can put aside your differences and fight the enemy together. I wonder if you are willing to do so? As soon as Du Xiaofu said this, Monarch Blackwater and the rest of Heishui River's people and the many experts of the sacred demon palace instantly looked at each other. Sparks of resentment flashed in the air, and the atmosphere became tense. It was obvious that the two forces had a deep grudge against each other, and it was difficult for them to put it aside. However, this situation did not last for too long. An indifferent voice slowly sounded from the field. Heishui River can agree to what the Rock Emperor said. Before the calamity is over, we will put aside all our grudges and not fight with the sacred demon palace. This time, the person who spoke was no longer Dai Lu, but the Black Water Monarch himself, who had rarely spoken since the beginning. His black robe fluttered in the wind, making him look even more majestic. Since only Monarch Blackwater can do it, I will also represent the sacred demon palace and make the decision, Patriarch Wanshi said as he looked deeply at Monarch Blackwater. Chapter 2596. If that's the case, that's great. Du Xiaofu curled his lips and looked at Ancestor Stone and Lord of Blackwater with satisfaction. The feud between the two clans had been going on for a long time. The fact that they could put it aside for the time being was enough to show their sincerity. Perhaps Lord of Blackwater was intimidated by Hole Laozus and Lord of Blackwater, so they had to compromise and accept the deal. But that was not important. The overall strength of Lord of Blackwater was not to be underestimated. With their help, it would be a great help. If they could really defeat the demonic god, the feud between the two clans could be settled by themselves in the future. It was none of his business. However, although the two of you have agreed to cooperate, I, Du Xiaofu, am naturally delighted. But I still have to say something first. Once the battle starts, I don't want to see internal strife. If anyone dares to play dirty tricks behind my back, even if I don't care about the demonic god, I, Du Xiaofu, swear that I will make sure that person dies a graveless death. No matter how powerful the force behind you is, no one can protect you. Du Xiaofu spoke harshly and his eyes were filled with a strong killing intent. His eyes finally stopped on Dai Lu, who was standing next to Lord of Blackwater, with a strong warning. Among all the people present, the one who worried him the most was this person. After their recent contact, Du Xiaofu noticed that this Dai Lu was rather shrewd, and his methods were sinister. He was a villain that was adept at stirring up trouble in the dark, and it was rather inconsistent with his astute and capable appearance. If Dai Lu secretly sowed discord during the tribulation, it would undoubtedly add more variables to the overall situation. Du Xiaofu would never allow such an unstable factor to exist. He had wanted to use bloody means to kill Dai Lu directly. However, Lord of Blackwater had just agreed to his terms. If he killed his top military advisor now, it would inevitably cause dissatisfaction. Therefore, he could only spare Dai Lu's life. As long as he stopped jumping up and down, it would be fine. Being stared at by Du Xiaofu, Dai Lu's face instantly turned pale. She trembled and couldn't speak for a long time. If you're not convinced, I can send you to hell right now. Du Xiaoyao was a straightforward person, so he didn't care too much. He suddenly took a step forward and stared at Dai Lu as he said in a deep voice. He didn't like this person and had wanted to teach him a lesson for a long time. At this time, although Du Xiaofu didn't mention any names, everyone could tell that the spearhead was directed at Dai Lu. I wouldn't dare! Dai Lu's legs trembled as she replied. The feather fan in her hand almost fell to the ground. The green and tender willow hair behind her head instantly wilted, as if more than half of its vitality had been sucked out. He didn't doubt Du Xiaofu and Du Xiaoyao's ability in the slightest, and he'd heard of their reputations since a long time ago. Especially Du Xiaofu, he was even called the Devil King, and his ferocious reputation caused countless people to tremble with fear upon hearing his name. At this time, Dai Lu secretly warned herself that she absolutely couldn't touch the bottom line of the Demon King and seek her own death by trying to deal with the sacred demon temple. Otherwise, even the Lord of the Black Water beside her couldn't save her. Everything should be decided after the great calamity. The devil religion is fierce. No one in this world can stay out of it. Du Xiaofu spoke again, but this time, he was talking to the ownerless broken sword and other itinerant cultivators. But as for you, I won't force you to work for the common people in the world. After the Great War starts, I believe you will make your own decisions. Du Xiaofu said without any fluctuation in his eyes. These itinerant cultivators were not like the sacred demon temple and the Black Water River. The former were all alone and free in the world. They were not tied down by sects or families, so it was difficult to control them. It was not that he didn't want to subdue them, but it was really not easy to control them. However, Du Xiaofu was not worried. When the demon realm was involved in the war, none of these people could avoid the situation of fighting the devil religion. No one could escape. Hearing the purple-robed young man's words, the ownerless broken sword and other itinerant cultivators didn't say anything. Instead, they all fell into deep thought. Boss, what should we do with this damn thing? Little Demon Du suddenly raised the skull in his hand that was missing a chin bone and asked. That was the original body of the Tsengshan skeleton. Because it had spoken rudely many times before, it was captured by Du Xiaoyao and severely taught a lesson. Spare his life, Du Xiaofu said softly. After all, the Tsengshan skeleton didn't do anything extreme. It was just a mouth. It wasn't to the point where it had to be killed. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but doubt in his heart. When did he become so merciful? If it was in the past, he would have killed the Tsengshan skeleton long ago. Humph! The next time you dare to act tough in front of me, I'll make sure you die a quick death. Little Demon Du let out a cold snort and casually tossed the skeleton away. It landed not far away and turned into its ugly appearance as it stood there. Looking at the two young men in horror, the Tsengshan skeleton shrank back and didn't speak for a long time. It didn't dare to speak anymore. Since the matter has been settled, it's good that everyone keeps their promise. There's no need to stay here any longer. Let's disperse, Huolei Laozu said and ordered the people of the sacred demon temple to leave. Everyone, prepare early. There's not much time left. Everyone nodded and was ready to leave. In order to deal with the great calamity, they had to be fully prepared. They had to allocate and use all kinds of resources reasonably to minimize the losses. However, just as everyone was saying goodbye to each other, before they could turn around and leave, Du Xiaofu, who was standing on the rocky ground, suddenly changed his expression. This is... Using his primordial spirit, he sensed a powerful aura coming from the outside world toward the demon realm. This aura was ferocious and murderous. It was wrapped in a vast and boundless bloody aura. It was like an ancient ferocious creature had crossed time and space to arrive. Such a movement made Du Xiaofu's heart sink instantly. Du Xiaofu sensed this fluctuation. His face was frighteningly dark. He said solemnly, "I'm afraid there's no time to prepare." As soon as he finished speaking, Huilei Laozu, Du Xiaoyao, Ancestor Stone, Lord of the Black Water, and the others sensed the powerful aura almost at the same time. They all looked in the direction of the entrance of the demon realm. Their faces were filled with shock. Did something happen? Most of the people with weaker cultivations were confused. They didn't know why these experts' expressions had suddenly changed. They also looked in the direction of the entrance but found nothing. Their primordial spirit power spread out, but they could not detect anything either. "The demon god is here," Huilei Laozi said in a deep voice. His expression was extremely serious. And this sentence also caused everyone to be shocked along with it. The demon god? Song Song, Saixia Fairy, Ice and Fire Ancestors, Dai Lu, Blood Disciple, Ownerless Broken Sword, Sangshan Skeleton, and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. Their hearts trembled violently, and their throats felt as if something was blocking them. Their saliva was stuck in their throats, and they could not swallow it. Everyone was stunned and could not speak for a long time. However, this state of confusion did not last long. After a short period of strange silence, the various forces were in an uproar. The demon god. The demon god has come to the demon realm. How could it be? The demon realm has not been involved in the affairs of the outside world for thousands of years. How could they have provoked the demon god? Could it be that there is something here that the demon god needs? Or maybe, he's here for that human? Many demon spirits began to discuss. Everyone was panic-stricken and kept guessing the demon god's intentions. In the end, some people even looked at Du Xiaofu. This was because the commotion caused by his breakthrough was too big. The demon god had noticed it and alarmed him. A bunch of idiots. My boss's breakthrough did cause a big commotion, but it is not enough to make the demon god come all the way to the demon realm. Little Demon Du frowned and glared at those people one by one, scolding in dissatisfaction. That's right. Although the half-step heavenly sage realm is powerful, it is not enough to make the demon god feel threatened. He has come to the demon realm personally this time. I'm afraid he has other intentions, Huilei Laozi said in a deep voice. The Rock Emperor made a lot of sense earlier. The devil religion and the demon god's goal is to kill continuously and turn this realm into a devil's domain. Therefore, even if the billions of demon spirits in the demon realm avoid fighting and provoke them, they will eventually be implicated and will not be able to escape calamity. It was rare for Blackwater Monarch to speak. After hearing this, those who had doubts expressed their agreement. The demon god had not made a move in the outside world but had come to the demon realm first. This fact was very good proof of the validity of his words. At this moment, the one who felt the most strongly about Blackwater Monarch's words was none other than Patriarch Wansher. Earlier, he had always held the idea that as long as the demon realm didn't provoke the demon sect, then they wouldn't take the initiative to attack. But who would have thought that after the incident at Yin's End Mountain, the heavenly demon patriarch, who had just reached an agreement with Du Xiaofu and Blackwater River to join forces against the demon god, immediately sensed the demon god's arrival. This caused him to be greatly shocked. Sure enough, he had been too naive in the past. Could it be that the demon god has fully recovered? Du Xiaofu said softly and uncertainly. If that was really the case, it was not good news. However, he quickly rejected this idea. Because before he came to the demon realm, the 9 demon emperors were still trying to find Tianwu Academy's Qiankun bag. It seemed to be related to the demon god's recovery. Without the Qiankun bag, the demon god should not have recovered so quickly. However, he did not know if the demon god had come to the demon realm to find the item to recover. It seems that the calamity is about to begin. Huilei Laozi sighed deeply and said to Du Xiaofu, Since the demon god has made his move, the bloodshed and massacre will sweep through this world like thunder. The demon realm is very likely to be the first battlefield of this calamity. Chapter 2597. Huolei Lao's words were like a gloomy cloud hanging over everyone's head. The threat of the demon god was like a peerless butcher's knife hanging over everyone's head. It could fall at any time and reap their lives. The demon god did not come here. We don't know where he went, Huolei Lao said. He sensed that the demon god had headed east instead of toward Yin's End Mountain after entering the demon realm. This confirmed what he said earlier. The demon god was not attracted by the commotion caused by Du Xiaofu's breakthrough. The demon god has come to the demon realm. There's no reason for us not to go and take a look. Du Xiaofu spoke, and then he didn't delay any longer and directly flashed towards the distance. He had some speculations in his mind. The demon god's arrival must have something to do with the recovery item. However, he did not know if it had anything to do with the Qianquan bag in Tianwu Academy. No matter what, he had to stop the demon god. He would not let the demon god get what he wanted so easily. Even if he could not prevent the devil religion from getting its way, he could at least delay the demon god's recovery for a few days, and buy more time for the living beings in this realm to prepare. Let's go! Huolei Zi and Du Xiaoyao did not hesitate. They quickly caught up with Du Xiaofu and disappeared into the horizon. Patriarch, should we go and take a look? Song Song, Fairy Kai Xia, and the two patriarchs of Ice and Fire asked Patriarch Wansher as they watched them leave. It seems like the demon realm is really inescapable, Old Ancestor Wansher said with a sigh of helplessness. But in next to no time, his aged gaze became firm, and it emanated a burning glow. Since we have to fight, let's fight. There are no cowards in the demon realm, Patriarch Wansher said in a deep voice. No matter what the demon god's purpose is, we can't let him get what he wants so easily. That's right. The Sacred Demon Palace and Blackwater River have been fighting for so many years. I didn't expect that we would join forces to fight against the enemy, Lord Blackwater Monarch suddenly said. His domineering and majestic face, he said. The grudge between us is not over yet. Although according to our agreement, we can't attack each other, we, Blackwater River, would like to compete with the Sacred Demon Palace to see who can kill more people from the devil religion. Patriarch Wansher, Patriarch Wansher. Patriarch Wansher, Patriarch Wansher. Of course, if you are cowards and don't have the guts to compete, then forget eyes of the Sacred Demon Palace, their Sacred Demon Palace. Let's bring it. Let's think let's God. Fire Z is you to Wansher S's. Haha is. Lord Blackwater Monarch laughed and leaped into the air. He took Dai Lu, Shui Tu, and the other experts with him and dashed into the distance in the blink of an eye. After he disappeared, he said in an ethereal but domineering voice, The demon god is attacking the demon realm. I, Blackwater River, will go and check out the situation. I'll pick up a few people from the devil religion and kill them all. Good job, Lord Blackwater. I'm willing to fight by your side. The ownerless broken sword made a sound and suddenly elongated on the spot, turning into a sharp and peerless sword light. It pierced through the void and followed the Blackwater Monarch. Patriarch, let's go. We can't let Blackwater River look down on us. The ice progenitor, who had always been the calmest in the Sacred Demon Palace, could no longer stay calm. She didn't care if Patriarch Wansher had any other instructions. She took Fire Ziz with her. Song Song, go back and guard the Sacred Demon Palace. Make arrangements to deal with any changes that may happen next. Patriarch Wansher ordered as he watched the experts leave. Since the devil religion is here, the billions of creatures in the demon realm must not sit still and wait for their deaths. Make sure everyone is prepared to face the great calamity. After Patriarch Wansher finished speaking, he led Fairy Kai Xia and the other experts to follow the demon god's aura. Song Song, Sengshan Skeleton, and some other rogue cultivators from the demon realm didn't stay any longer and left Yin End Mountain. Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and Huolei Zi traveled together. They released the power of their primordial spirits and broke through the void toward the demon god. The demon god didn't hide his aura at all. The surging demon she shook the void and guided the three of them forward like a wind vane. At the same time, they sensed many powerful waves. Du Xiaofu knew that they were from the devil religion. The 9 demon emperors should be among them. No, the 9 demon emperors had already been killed by Du Xiaofu on Snow Spirit Mountain. There should only be 8 demon emperors left. Even with the demon god's strength and the followers of the devil religion, he was still traveling at a terrifying speed. They traveled millions of miles in the blink of an eye. However, Du Xiaofu had the rapid rock. With Du Xiaoyao and Hule Laozu, it wasn't easy to keep up with them. Time flew by quickly in the spatial tunnel. The 3 of them had already traveled millions of li. At the same time, the 3 of them felt that the distance between them and the demon god was getting closer and closer. The demon god seems to have stopped, Du Xiaofu said. If the demon god stopped, he must have reached his destination, Hule Laozi said. I don't know what kind of place it is. Why would the demon god come here in person? Du Xiaoyao's eyes were shining with golden light as she said doubtfully. With our speed, we can reach there in about 4 hours. When the time comes, we'll act according to the circumstances. Du Xiaofu pondered for a moment and said, although the demon god hasn't fully recovered, his strength is not something we can easily deal with. Although his main purpose is not to deal with us, we still have to be careful. It would be best if we can stop him from getting something to recover. But if we can't, we still have to protect ourselves. We can't fight recklessly. After all, the great calamity hasn't really begun. The road ahead is still long. There must be a way to defeat the demon god. Hule Laozu nodded and reminded Du Xiaofu and Du Xiaoyao. Understood. Du Xiaofu and Du Xiaoyao nodded at the same time. The 2 also understood that Hule Laozu's words were meant to comfort them. He was only afraid that the 2 of them would be impulsive and fight recklessly after seeing the demon god. But then again, only by keeping themselves alive could they find more ways to deal with the great calamity. If they lost their lives for nothing, how could they protect their loved ones and friends, or even save the world? For the next 4 hours, the 3 of them did not speak again. Instead, they hurried on with their journey. And when they chased after the demon god's aura and broke through the sky, they did not see any trace of the demon god or the people of the devil religion. The demon god's aura finally appeared here. Du Xiaoyao looked around, her eyes filled with golden light as she tried to find the demon god. There's nothing around here, and there's also nothing on the ground below. Then there's only one place, Du Xiaofu said. Suddenly, he raised his head and looked at the 9 heavens. They were originally high up in the sky, but the demon god's aura only appeared here. There was only one possibility left. They had gone to a place higher than the 9 heavens. Could it be that the secret place is in the sky? Du Xiaoyao asked, feeling a little incredulous. Whether it is or not, we'll know once we go and take a look. Du Xiaofu shouted softly. The pair of golden wings on his back suddenly flapped, carrying Hule Laozu and Du Xiaoyao up into the sky. However, as the 3 of them went against the sky, Hule Laozu's chubby face became more serious, as if he had thought of something. A secret place above the 9 heavens. Could it be that the demon god is going in the direction of the legendary Xianke Palace in the clouds? Hule Laozu said after pondering for a long time. Xianke Palace in the clouds? Where is that place? Du Xiaofu was puzzled. He had never heard of this place. However, the demon god suddenly moved after being silent for many years, and went directly there. There must be something extraordinary about it. I'm not very clear about the details. I just remembered a strange rumor from the Archean era. In the far east of the demon realm, there was a mysterious place above the 9 heavens, so it was called the Xianke Palace in the clouds. Hule Laozu said. It was because of the demon god's whereabouts that Hule Laozu thought of this rumor. However, before Du Xiaofu and Du Xiaoyao could continue to ask, he added, I heard that before the catastrophe in the Archean era, that is, before I was born, there was a powerful person who built that secret place. After the devil religion came to this world, they also fought for it. Because the demon god was restrained by the master of the 3,000 worlds and the dragon god, he could not do it himself. Therefore, the people of the devil religion were defeated by that powerful person. In the end, the secret place disappeared, as if it had never appeared in the world. There was no trace of it. However, this is just a legend. No one has seen the secret place appear in the world, and no one knows whether it is true or not. It turns out to be an Archean secret place. Du Xiaofu murmured, carefully recalling the scenes he saw in the tomb of heaven when he returned to the upper reaches of time and space. But he could not find any memory of this secret place. Huolei Laozu was born in the Archean era and unified the demon realm with his strength. He must have heard of the Xiankei Palace in the clouds. A place that could be valued by the devil religion and fought for must be extraordinary. In this case, the demon god came to the demon realm at this time, which means that the secret place should be about to open, or has already opened. I'm afraid there really is something he needs in there, Du Xiaofu said. The Xiankei Palace in the clouds is said to be in the 9 heavens. You can step on the blue clouds and go through 9 revolutions in the void before you can reach it, Huolei Laozu said again. Step on the blue clouds and go through 9 revolutions in the void. As Du Xiaofu recited these 8 words, he felt a sense of transcendence and otherworldly charm. Just from these words, one could feel the extraordinariness of the Xiankei Palace in the clouds. Yes, Huolei Laozu nodded. Chapter 2598. Du Xiaofu used his golden rock wings and soared into the sky. Under the illumination of the sun, the clouds in the sky were suffused with a hazy radiance. It was magnificent and gorgeous, and the clouds were enshrouded in red clouds. The 3 of them passed through the thick clouds. What entered their eyes was a vast and boundless world. Other than the scorching sun above their heads, there was nothing else. While they were talking, they also saw some figures in their eyes. People from the devil religion! Above the 9 heavens, there were densely packed figures gathered in the distance. Among them, there were quite a number of figures with extremely powerful auras. Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and Huolei Zi were familiar with these people. They were the 9 demon emperors of the devil religion. Moksha and Mo Lingzi, and the others were also there. Du Xiaofu squinted his eyes. He flapped his wings and increased his speed. He rushed toward the devil religion's camp. Why don't I see the demon god? Huolei Laozu glanced at the devil religion's camp. However, he didn't see the demon god. This caused his heart to become incomparably heavy. Could it be that he has already entered the secret place? Du Xiaoyao said doubtfully. Her tone was solemn. If the god fiend had already entered the secret place and obtained the recovery item he needed, then their trip would have been in vain. Let's go and take a look. I hope we're not too late, Du Xiaofu said softly. He sped up and approached the people of the devil religion in a short time. Their arrival had long been noticed by the 9 great demon emperors and the others. That's right, it was the 9 demon emperors. The 9 demon emperors, who had died at the hands of Du Xiaofu in Snow Spirit Mountain, were now standing there, alive and well. They were glaring at Du Xiaofu. This scene also caused Du Xiaofu to be slightly stunned for a moment. The 9 demon emperor has been resurrected? Du Xiaofu murmured. He found it hard to believe. How could a dead person come back to life? One had to know that he had destroyed the 9 demon emperor's body and soul with lightning speed. But after thinking about it for a while, he felt relieved. With the power of the demon god, he must have left some means in the bodies of the 9 demon emperors. As long as he could find a way to extract a trace of the demon emperor's demon soul and make it indestructible, it wouldn't be difficult to reconstruct their bodies. However, after the 9 demon emperor had undergone body reconstruction, his strength should have been reduced to a certain extent. Du Xiaofu's attention did not linger on him for long, because he noticed something that shocked him even more. Looking past the 9 great demon emperors, there were no less than 1,000 figures standing in the air behind them. More than half of these people were at the Saint Realm and above. Du Xiaofu was extremely shocked. Since when did the devil religion become so powerful? All the Saint Realm experts in the 3 continents, and Kyushu combined, should not be much more than this number. Moreover, The devil religion had the demon god, an existence that they could not contend with. It seemed that this great calamity was more difficult to deal with than expected. Du Xiaofu, I didn't expect you to really come. The great demon emperor took a step forward. His thin and small body walked in the air as if he was walking down a flight of stairs. Looking at Du Xiaofu and the other two, his voice did not fluctuate at all. It was as if he had expected their arrival. Before Du Xiaofu could reply, he heard Du Xiaoyao's voice ringing in his ears. Boss, look over there! Du Xiaoyao raised his hand and pointed behind the people of the devil religion. Looking at the direction of his finger, the void there did not seem to be anything special. However, upon closer inspection, it was different from other places and showed a strange fluctuation. Using the power of the primordial spirit, one could find that the space there seemed to be a barrier. Although it was transparent, it isolated something and could not be seen with the naked eye. There seems to be a door that leads to an unknown place, Huolei Laozi said. In his perception, there was a faint movement coming from behind the space. It was captured. What's behind the door? Is it the legendary Xiankei Palace among the clouds? Du Xiaoyao asked. The demon god must have entered it. Let's go and take a look. Du Xiaofu stared at the 9 great demon emperors. These people of the devil religion must have stayed here to prevent him from interfering with the demon god. If he wanted to enter the door behind them, he had to get rid of these people first. However, Du Xiaofu could not figure it out. Since the demon god had found this secret place, if he did not want to be disturbed, why didn't he restrain his aura when he came, so that many creatures could detect him? Was he doing this on purpose, or did he have other motives? However, Du Xiaofu did not have time to think about this. Only after entering the door could he know the truth. Du Xiaofu, you are late. The demon god has entered the void corridor. When he comes out, he will be in his peak state. All the creatures in this world, including you, will die. Seeing that Du Xiaofu and the others did not answer, the second demon emperor walked behind the great demon emperor and said in a low voice, The void corridor? Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and caught the word in the second demon emperor's words. Could it be that there was a void corridor behind the space gate? What kind of place was that? Where does the corridor lead to? Is it the Xiankei Palace among the clouds? Has the demon god really entered that place? Has he obtained the recovery item and is in the process of recovery? If this is the case, the situation is much more serious than expected. Boss, you can use the first move of Rising Wind directly to cross the blockade of the devil religion and enter the void corridor to prevent the demon god from recovering. Leave this place to us, Du Xiaoyao said suddenly. Facing the 9 great demon emperors, there was no fear on his face at all. Yes, you don't have to worry about us. No matter what price we have to pay, we can't let the demon god get the recovery item easily. Huolei Laozi also said, his fat face serious. No, let's fight our way out and enter the void corridor together, Du Xiaofu said softly. He knew what they said was reasonable. The sooner they entered the void door, the sooner they could prevent the demon god from recovering. However, he could not leave Huolei Laozi and Du Xiaoyao here and let them face hundreds of experts of the Saint Realm from the devil religion alone. Du Xiaofu's heart sank, but he did not show it on his face. He replied coldly to the second demon emperor. Is that so? Since your lord demon god is not here, I think it is necessary to kill all of you small fries. With his current strength, he had a great chance of winning if he fought the 9 great demon gods alone. Du Xiaofu, you are still as arrogant as before. I heard that you have stepped into the half-step heavenly saint realm. Today, we would like to see how powerful you are now and whether you deserve the title of half-step heavenly saint. The second demon emperor suddenly rushed out and pounced on Du Xiaofu directly. Under the mighty demonic qi, it was like a powerful tornado, carrying with it the power to destroy everything, stirring up the void into a mess. If you want to enter the void corridor, you have to go through us first. Almost at the same time as the second demon emperor moved, the third demon emperor also moved. His fist smashed the heavens and earth, causing terrible ripples. The terrible demon Qi was like a raging sea, surging violently. You want to stop me with just the two of you? You are overestimating yourselves! Du Xiaofu snorted. Then he shouted. Suddenly, his body disappeared into thin air. In the next instant, an astonishing scene appeared. The purple-robed young man appeared in front of the second demon emperor and the third demon emperor at the same time. It was as if he had used the doppelganger technique, which was indescribably strange. Overbearing fists! Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's thunderous shout resounded in the ears of the second demon emperor and the third demon emperor. At the same time, a look of surprise appeared in their eyes. Then, they saw a huge fist coming in front of them. This fist, which was surrounded by rich purple-golden thunderbolts, was full of terrible energy fluctuations. It was moving at an extremely fast speed toward the chests of the second demon emperor and the third demon emperor. Seeing this, the two demon emperors were shocked, but they reacted quickly. The moment Du Xiaofu appeared in front of them, the tornado formed by the great demon emperor roared even more crazily. It carried a terrible power of torture and wanted to wrap Du Xiaofu up. The third demon emperor knew that he was no match for Su Quebec. He withdrew his fist abruptly. The demon Qi on his body surged and gathered in front of his chest to form a ball of faint black light, which was like a barrier. When they stopped moving, Du Xiaofu's fist had already smashed down fiercely. Boom! Boom! After two explosions that shook the void, even the heavens began to tremble. The fist, which was flickering with purple gold lightning, smashed into the tornado and the demonic energy shield. It destroyed the demonic energy shield as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashed into the chests of the second and third demon emperors. Puff, puff, with a muffled sound, the two demon shadows were sent flying backward. They were like two birds with broken wings, drawing two long tracks in the void. Demon blood splattered and dyed the sky red. Second brother! Third brother! The remaining 7 demon emperors exclaimed. Then, the 5th demon emperor and the 6th demon emperor attacked at the same time. They rushed out and caught the 2 demon shadows. Then, they retreated behind the great demon emperor and the others. At this time, the 2 demon shadows, who had repelled the 2 demon emperors, slowly merged into one place. Finally, they merged into one place. They still looked like Du Xiaofu. You are so weak! Du Xiaofu, who was standing in the sky, said coldly. His clothes and black hair fluttered in the wind, making him look like a god. After he had broken through to the half-step heavenly saint realm and the thunder ultimacy, his space ultimacy had also improved correspondingly. When he performed the Fuyao style, it had reached the acme of perfection. Its speed was so fast that it looked like he had performed the doppelganger technique. He could appear in 2 places at the same time. Chapter 2599. Even if the 2 demon emperors attacked together, they could not withstand a single blow from Du Xiaofu and were injured by him. It should be known that the second demon emperor and the third demon emperor were second only to the great demon emperor among the 9 great demon emperors. This boy has become so powerful! On the opposite side, the second demon emperor and the third demon emperor, who were supported by the 5 demon emperors and the 6 demon emperors, said in a trembling voice after they spat out another mouthful of blood. Not only them, but the thousands of experts from the devil religion also felt the terror of Du Xiaofu. Except for the 9 great demon emperors, the rest of the people looked at the purple-robed young man and took half a step back in unison. They seemed to be afraid. I didn't expect that your strength has reached the level of a half-step heavenly saint. However, you are still a half-step heavenly saint after all, the great demon emperor said in a gloomy and hoarse voice, which concealed the shock in his tone. His expression was obscured by the dense devil qi, so no one could tell what he was thinking at the moment. Perhaps when you 9 great demon emperors were at your peak, you did look down on the strength of a half-step heavenly saint. But now, I am still 1 step ahead of you. What right do you have to be so arrogant in front of me? Du Xiaofu said domineeringly. He did not want to waste too much time here. He just wanted to enter the void corridor as soon as possible and give the demon god some trouble. As he spoke, his robes suddenly fluttered. His body, which originally did not have any aura fluctuation, suddenly erupted with a strange and indescribable aura. This strange aura exuded an obscure fluctuation. As soon as it appeared, it instantly attracted the mighty force between heaven and earth. Then, the sea of clouds under everyone's feet in the distance began to roll violently. The clouds gushed out like a big spring and gathered under Du Xiaofu's feet quickly. The pure white clouds that filled the sky instantly turned jet black. As they surged, rumbling sounds could be heard. In the blink of an eye, it was possible to see many thick dragon-like lightning glows flashing. They twisted and weaved between the dark clouds, twisting their enormous lightning dragon bodies as they shuttled back and forth endlessly. Every single lightning dragon had a ferocious appearance. Their hair and beards were long, and their scales were dense. The muscles on their bodies were intertwined with each other, and they carried with them an explosive force that caused terrifying cracks to appear in the void. This scene caused the Devil Religion members to feel a chill run down their spines, and a deep sense of fear grew in their hearts. Is this the power of a half-step heavenly saint to be able to manipulate the forces of heaven and earth with a flip of his hand? Half-step heavenly saint is already so terrifying. How strong would the real heavenly saint be? This human brat has actually grown to such an extent. Some people discussed while trembling with fear. Even the 9 great demon emperors had the same feeling. They were all aware of Du Xiaofu's past. Only a few years had passed, and the guy who they could have killed with a single finger had now surpassed them in strength. The person who was like an ant in the eyes of the 9 great demon emperors had become the Devil Religion's greatest enemy. Let's attack together. I don't believe that this brat can fight against the 9 of us alone. The 4th demon emperor let out such a loud shout. After that, his demonic body suddenly emitted a scarlet demonic aura that was as red as blood, filling the space in front of him. As the endless demon chi surged out, it condensed into a sickle-shaped weapon. It was suffused with a murderous aura, and it slashed directly at Du Xiaofu. In the boiling demon chi, a mountain of corpses appeared, and a sea of blood rolled. Countless creatures were struggling and howling, and their miserable cries made one's scalp tingle. When such an attack fell, the demon chi surged, and the entire space seemed to have frozen. The 4th demon emperor held the blood-red sickle in his hand, and he was like the god of death descending to the world. Accompanying him was an eerie aura that made people tremble. He's just a human brat, he can't do much. Demon cloud swallows the sky. Kill! The 5th demon emperor snorted coldly. As his robes fluttered, the demon chi around his body transformed into the shape of a giant demon beast, and it rose into the sky. Sharp teeth protruded from its gaping mouth, looking hideous and terrifying. Roar! The giant beast roared fiercely, and a fishy smell came out of its mouth, which made people feel suffocated. As it inhaled and exhaled, the space shattered into pieces and was sucked into its stomach. It had the power to swallow the clouds and kill the moon, and it was extremely terrifying. A giant beast's paw covered the sky, and it caused the dark clouds gathered under Du Xiaofu's feet to fluctuate. Kill! The 6th demon emperor, the 7th demon emperor, the 8th demon emperor, and the 9th demon emperor attacked at the same time. Everyone's aura was powerful, and the demon chi intertwined with each other, causing the space to tremble. Kill them! Don't let them step into the void corridor. The great demon emperor said in a gloomy and hoarse voice. He raised a small, skinny palm, which was covered with scales and glowing with dark light, and stretched out from the demon chi around him. When the other 8 demon emperors attacked, he attacked at the same time. A sharp claw tore the space apart, and he pounced toward Du Xiaofu. At the same time, the 2nd demon emperor and the 3rd demon emperor, who had been injured previously, also attacked after a short period of rest. After the great demon emperor attacked, 2 fierce flames shot out from their demon eyes, and they pounced on Suke swiftly and violently. Soon, an unprecedented battle broke out above the clouds in the 9 heavens. Go! Du Xiaofu stood in the sky, and he said calmly. When he waved his hand, his robe and hair fluttered, and there was not much strong aura on his body. However, every time he waved his hand, a mountain-like thunder dragon rushed out from the sea of clouds under his feet, and it stretched across the sky. Roar! The thunder dragons roared and broke the void again and again. Under Du Xiaofu's control, the thunder dragon twisted its huge body and charged towards the 9 demon emperors with a power that could destroy everything in its path. Boom! 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 The power of thunder and lightning collided with the demon chi, tearing the sky and splitting the earth. The violent energy shattered again and again, turning into talismans and mysterious runes that filled the sky. Soon, the 9 demon emperors were annihilated. The 9 demon emperors are just SOS so. Boss is fighting against 9 demon emperors alone, and he is not at a disadvantage. Du Xiaoyao sneered and said disdainfully as he watched the battle break out. Although the sky was covered by the energy storm, the situation on the battlefield could not escape his perception. Although Boss was struggling to deal with the 9 demon emperors together, he was not at a disadvantage. He still seemed to be at ease. This kind of situation caused little Demon Du to feel incomparably carefree in his heart. It could be said that now, except for the demon gods, no one in the world could be a match for Boss. Unless the 9 demon emperors could recover to their peak state in the primordial age. However, such a situation was extremely difficult. One should know that this world had a great suppression on the cultivation of living beings. It was only possible if they left this world. The demon gods have already entered the space portal. There is no time to waste. While the 9 demon emperors are occupied, we will take care of the other small fries, Du Xiaoyao said with a sneer as he looked at the remaining people of the devil religion. I'm afraid it will be a little difficult, Huolei Laozi said softly, 2 thunderous flames flashing in his eyes. At this time, there were more than 1,000 devil religion followers on the devil religion's side. Among them, half of them had reached the saint realm. It was almost impossible for the 2 of them to take care of all of them. On the contrary, if they were to fight and fall into a quagmire, it would be difficult for them to escape in the end. If they were not careful, they would be exhausted to death. It was not difficult to understand that many ants could bite an elephant to death. Kid, aren't you afraid that the wind will cut your tongue? On the opposite side, 2 young demonic figures appeared in the sky and stood in front of the other demons. One of them heard Du Xiaoyao's words and couldn't help but shout coldly. It was Moksha. I also want to see how these 2 people are going to deal with so many of us. Mo Lingzi, who was beside Moksha, said indifferently. His tone did not have the slightest fluctuation of emotion, as if he was an emotionless zombie. The hood of his robe covered his head, making it impossible for others to see his face. Moksha and Mo Lingzi both understood that if they were to fight alone, they were no match for Du Xiaoyao and Huolei Zi. However, the thousands of devil religion experts behind them were their greatest reliance. Is that so? Since you 2 jumped out first, I'll start with you 2. Du Xiaoyao had never been a person who was afraid of trouble. Moreover, the demon god was not here, and the 9 great demon emperors were restrained. Even if there were hundreds of Sage Realm experts on the opposite side, he was still fearless. With a cold snort, the golden light around his body surged. The radiance shot out in all directions, covering the scorching sun above everyone's head. Waves of vast aura instantly filled the air and swept across, spreading high in the sky and invading every inch of space. Everyone in the devil religion felt their souls trembling. Including Moksha and Mo Lingzi, everyone was intimidated by this power. Roar! A loud roar came from the golden light, and terrifying sound waves spread out in all directions, making everyone in the devil religion feel suffocated. Then, under everyone's shocked gazes, the golden light that filled the sky slowly retracted. What replaced it was waves of tyrannical pressure that directly crushed everyone's primordial spirits. In the next moment, an incomparably huge body of a red-bone horse monkey appeared in the void. It was as if a terrifying lord had appeared, almost filling up the entire space. In front of me, it's not up to you small fries to be arrogant. The huge red-bone horse monkey spoke in human language. It stretched out a huge palm and slapped down fiercely on Moksha's head. In terms of cultivation, these people in the devil religion were far inferior to the 9 great demon emperors. As for Du Xiaoyao himself, he had the strength to at least contend with experts like the 4 demon emperors and the 5 demon emperors. Therefore, people like Mo Sha and Mo Lingzi were naturally not worthy of his attention. Chapter 2600. The giant hand swept across the sky, covering the horizon. Chi! The void cracked noiselessly, like a city wall being crushed into fine powder, the fragments falling down one after another. An invisible fluctuation spread out, attacking the souls of everyone from the devil religion. This palm was just like a boundless mountain that violently smashed down from the sky. It suddenly arrived above Mo Sha's head. Everyone from the devil religion, listen up! Attack together! I don't believe that with so many of us, we can't even stop this old and young guy. Mo Lingzi said calmly. His figure swept out in an instant, pouncing straight at Moksha, wanting to resist Du Xiaoyao's earth-shattering palm together with him. At the same time, the hundreds of Saint Realm experts from the devil religion behind them also moved. Powerful auras burst out from their bodies as they attacked together. Although their individual strength wasn't as strong as Du Xiaoyao and Huolei Zi, with so many of them together, they could crush the other party to death. Mo Lingzi. Looking at this scene, Huolei Laozu didn't take any big action, but cast his gaze at Mo Lingzi. Faint green and red flames jumped on his bloated and old body, and a light flashed in his old eyes. You have the Thunder Martial vein, which is related to the Du family and me. It's just that I didn't know your identity. I'm very curious about who you are. As a descendant of the heavenly Tao, how could you be willing to be driven by the devil religion and work for the devil god? Huolei Zi's voice wasn't loud, but it carried an indescribable coldness. After the fall of the heavenly Tao, he was formed from the thunder fire formed by the spiritual lightning that streaked across the sky after the fall of the heavenly Tao. It could be said that his existence had an inseparable relationship with the heavenly Tao, and could be considered as another continuation of the heavenly Tao's life. The Thunder Martial vein was also a great ability of the heavenly Tao, engraved in the Du family's bloodline, and only opened after ancient times. The demon god was the main culprit behind the fall of the heavenly Tao. As a descendant of the Du family, he had become the claws and fangs of the devil religion for no reason. This kind of situation would probably make anyone furious. If you want to know who I am, come and see for yourself if you have the ability. Mo Lingzi still spoke calmly. Under the hood of his robe, 2 rays of dim light shot out from his eyes. Filled with the aura of death, he was like a ghost. His strength was far inferior to Master Huolei's, but there was no trace of fear in his words. Presumably, he had the support of the devil religion behind him. The traitor of the Du family, the scum of the human race, everyone has the right to punish him. Today, I will personally take off your hood and expose your true face to the sun. As Master Flamepark spoke, his voice carried a thick killing intent. He didn't hide it at all. Then, raging flames suddenly leaped out from his body, burning fiercely and continuously expanding. In an instant, it spread out to tens of thousands of miles, covering the endless distance above the 9 heavens. Following the appearance of the flames, Master Flamespark's figure gradually turned illusory and merged into the flames. Then, the originally blazing flames began to slowly retract their radiance, turning into deep and dark green flames that burned silently. After this scene appeared, the entire space didn't become brighter because of the illumination of the flames. Instead, it suddenly turned dark. The radiance of the blazing sun above their heads disappeared, as if the night had suddenly arrived. There was no light, and it was as if they had entered the cold and dark space of the universe. In this space, there was only an ocean of flames left. It was suffused with a dim light, covering all the people of the devil religion. In addition, Du Xiaoyao's red-boned horse monkey body emitted a golden light in this environment. On Du Xiaofu's side, an endless tide of energy fiercely swept over. The mysterious runes on the broken talismans interweaved resplendently, giving rise to a dense multicolored glow. It was incomparably magnificent. Crackle. In the ocean of flames, small bolts of lightning flickered. They were like agile snakes, wreaking havoc in all directions. The terrifying temperature soared. In the blink of an eye, it made people feel as if the water in their bodies was about to evaporate. The lightning snakes crisscrossed and slashed. They seemed weak, but they carried a destructive aura. A vast, majestic aura filled the air. It was as if a terrifying lord from ancient times had descended, causing people's souls to tremble. What a terrifying lightning fire! Ah! In just a moment, screams came from the people of the devil religion. Those who were below the saint realm all felt the terrifying temperature constantly corroding their bodies. It was as if they were about to melt. In just a moment, many people of the devil religion suffered different degrees of injuries. Kill! Du Shiyao's huge palm swept across the sky and slapped down, landing directly on Moksha's head. Moksha's reaction was extremely fast. He immediately retreated into the devil religion's camp. Then many Saint Realm powerhouses attacked together. Each of them released a vast amount of devil chi, which gathered around Moksha and wrapped him up. Endless energy kept filling his body. The great devil shakes the world. As Moksha shouted, the devil chi that wrapped around him quickly gathered and condensed into a huge figure. It rose to the sky and seemed to want to break through the horizon. That huge figure was formed from black demonic chi. However, as a gentle breeze blew past, a thin layer of demonic chi immediately dissipated, as if a thin veil had been lifted. Then, what appeared was still Moksha's image. However, at this time, Moksha's figure had become extremely burly. His muscles were bulging, and his bronze skin carried an explosive power. That originally clear and handsome face had a ruthless look on it. His eyes emitted an ominous glint, and his thin lips had turned into a bloody mouth. It was an indescribable rash. This image vaguely had the charm of a devil god. As he breathed in and out, one could feel that there was a strange power between heaven and earth that followed the rhythm of his breathing. Just the two of you want to break through the blockade of hundreds of Saint Realm powerhouses of the devil religion? You must be dreaming! Moksha's huge devil figure roared. He opened his bloody mouth, and a scarlet aura filled the air. It was like a river of blood that swept out, and a murderous aura spread out. Moksha's figure was much bigger than Du Shiyao's red-bone horse monkey body. As he shouted, Du Shiyao's huge palm had already covered the sky. It carried a surging power, and like a raging sea, it struck down on Moksha's head. Great devil breaks the sky! Moksha's huge devil figure clenched his fists, and his body suddenly bent down. He opened his mouth and spat out a blood-red sharp blade. This blood-red sharp blade broke through the air and directly penetrated the barrier of the void. It struck a deep black hole in the void. Different from normal cracks in the void, this black hole was filled with a terrifying aura of death. It was as if the door to the netherworld had been opened. Waves of strange power rippled in the surrounding air. Woo-woo! Waves of ghostly cries and godly howls could be heard. Clouds of dark fog rushed out from the void and turned into the appearance of living beings. They rushed towards Du Shiyao's huge palm. In an instant, there were vengeful spirits wailing, ferocious ghosts screaming, and ghosts weeping. With extremely terrifying power, they met Du Shiyao's palm. Chi-chi-chi! The huge palm of the red-boned horse monkey collided with those sinister things without any hesitation. Du Shiyao's attack was righteous and domineering. It specialized in countering the evil aura. On the other hand, the great devil's power used evil to break through righteousness. It was as if the great devil's body wanted to break through the restraints of the great Tao of heaven and earth and turn the greater thousand world into a vast devil's domain. The two completely opposite forces collided and instantly tangled with each other and cancelled each other out. The golden light and the dark aura shattered and disappeared. The golden palm and countless evil spirits turned into dense talismans and mysterious runes floating in the air, annihilating the entire void. However, this scene, other than appearing to have caused a huge commotion, in reality, not much of a ripple spread out. Under the effect of the opposing forces, all the shattered energies were devoured and cancelled each other out. The runes that filled the sky dissipated very quickly. At this moment, Du Xiaoyao's huge palm was slowly retracting. The red-boned horse monkey's body sat steadily, and did not seem to have been shaken at all. At the same time, Moksha's great devil's body was still standing upright in the void. After one move, the two of them did not suffer much. It could be said that they were evenly matched. Borrowing the power of hundreds of people can only achieve this level? Du Xiaoyao's eyes twitched slightly and said rather disdainfully, "If it weren't for the hundreds of Saint Realm cultivators from the Devil Sect attacking at the same time and supporting Mo Sha with their cultivation, he was afraid that his attack would be able to directly crush Mo Sha to death. Not even a trace of him would be left behind." This kind of result caused little Demon Du to feel very puzzled. Under normal circumstances, the people behind Moksha were indeed far inferior to him in terms of individual strength. However, if all of them were added together, it should not be so weak. "Humph, I was just testing you. Your red-boned horse monkey's body is far from being able to block my great devil shakes the world." Moksha's burly figure snorted coldly. His two demonic eyes were rolling with scenes one after another. Under careful observation, one could see mountains of corpses and seas of blood surging. It was like a scene of doomsday. Behind him, many Saint Realm cultivators of the devil religion sat down cross-legged. Each of them once again released waves of devil chi, which converged into a vast power and entered Moksha's body. Roar! After being replenished by this endless power, Moksha's huge body grew by another 30%. His aura was more than twice as ferocious as before. Immediately afterward, the great demon's body suddenly took a step forward in the void. His feet were like two mountains as he stepped on the void. It was as if he was stepping on the ground. A rumbling sound was heard, and the entire space was trembling along with it. The void under the great devil's feet was like a mountain rock that was being stepped on. It was shattered and turned into fine powder. The sea of fire that Huo Lei Zhu had released was also extinguished a lot. The huge demonic shadow swept across the 9 heavens with unparalleled power. It indeed had the charm of a demonic god. Chapter 2601. As Moksha's great demon body charged forward, his aura soared. "Kill!" During this process, Mo Sha also fiercely cried out. Wherever his burly body passed, due to his extremely fast speed, it caused a series of sonic booms. The space above the 9 heavens trembled and vibrated. "Old man, I'll deal with Moksha. The rest of the people from the devil religion, including Mo Lingzi, I'll leave them to you. Kill as many of them as you can." Opposite Moksha, Du Xiaoyao shouted loudly. His voice spread in all directions. His words were directed at Huo Lei Laozu. At this time, the hundreds of saint stage experts from the devil religion were almost all using their methods to maintain Moksha's great demon body. They did not have much energy to deal with Huo Lei Laozu's attack. If they did not take this opportunity to kill them, when would they? "Kid, are you sure you can do it?" Huo Lei's voice spread from the green flames in the sky. It was impossible to tell where his real body was. One could hear the doubt and worry in his voice. Needless to say, the power of the hundreds of saint stage experts from the devil religion attacking together was not just a little bit. When Moksha really used his full power, the power he possessed would not be inferior to the 9 great demon emperors joining forces. Therefore, if Du Xiaoyao were to fight against Moksha alone, the pressure he would have to bear would not be any less than Du Xiaofu on the other side. This would be an extremely dangerous thing. "Don't worry, the devil religion's little tricks can't do anything to me," Du Xiaoyao replied. He seemed to have an indescribable confidence. "Then be careful. Let me know if you can't hold on anymore. I'll go help you immediately," Huo Lei Laozu said. After he finished speaking, the flames in the sea of fire that almost covered the entire 9 heavens suddenly became a little stronger. Moreover, there were balls of flames that were extremely ferocious. With a whoosh, they rapidly leaped through the air and headed for the 1,000-strong devil religion camp. "Kill!" Du Xiaoyao shouted. Her red-boned horse monkey body moved in response, directly facing the great devil body transformed by Moksha. Boom! The two incomparably tall bodies collided in the blink of an eye. It was as if two huge mountains had collided, and a terrifying vibration erupted. The terrifying impact of the sound wave was like the surface of a lake that had a huge rock thrown into it. Ripples spread out in all directions. PFFF, PFFF, PFFF. In the distance, the hundreds of people below the saint realm from the devil religion spat out mouthfuls of blood almost simultaneously after being hit by the impact. Their auras immediately withered. Since the god fiend has abandoned all of you and entered the space portal alone, I won't be polite. I'll take your lives! Hule Laozi's voice spread out. Clusters of flames jumped from the sea of fire that filled the sky. With a swift and violent momentum, they directly burned into the formation of the devil religion camp. Then, only miserable screams could be heard. Under the green flames, the cultivators below the saint realm could not resist at all. In an instant, their bodies and primordial spirits were burned into ashes and blown away by the wind of the 9 heavens. In the blink of an eye, dozens of people from the demonic sect had died. Damn it! Moksha, who was fighting fiercely with Du Xiaoyao in the distance, cursed. He was extremely resentful of this scene. His great demon body moved crazily as he fiercely punched out, forcing Du Xiaoyao to retreat. You want to save them? Did you ask for my permission? Du Xiaoyao shouted. Her figure flashed again, pouncing toward Moksha to restrain him and create an opportunity for Hule Laozi. At the same time, he shouted into the void. Old man, don't bother with those small fries that you can crush with a flip of your hand. Kill those above the saint realm. Do I need a little guy like you to teach me how to do things? Hule Laozi snorted and retorted. However, he did not say anything else after that. Obviously, he agreed with Du Xiaoyao's words. As Hulezi spoke, the sea of fire that spread out in the endless sky suddenly froze. It was as if it was still for a moment, and the flames stopped swaying. Immediately after, with a huff, a jade-green flame abruptly shot out. It flashed within the sea of flames, and directly headed towards Mo Lingzi on the other side. Mo Lingzi, you can't escape today. Let me see what kind of person you are in the Du family, Hule Laozi said. The green flame was ferocious, like the fire of the underworld, burning everything. In an instant, it wrapped around Mo Lingzi's body. After changing his target, the first thing he thought of was to attack Mo Lingzi. Old man, let's see what you can do to me. Mo Lingzi, who was in the sea of fire, suddenly shouted. His figure flashed, and he went into the formation of the devil religion. However, the flame behind him followed him like a shadow. No matter where Mo Lingzi went, he couldn't get rid of it. Thief, let's see where you can run to. Under Hule Laozi's control, the lightning in the sea of fire suddenly gathered together, condensing into a thick and bright lightning, and struck toward Mo Lingzi. My devil religion has several hundred saint realm experts here, and there are only 2 of you. Do you think you can overturn the heavens? Blood demon true body, rise for me. Mo Lingzi said softly, without any emotion. After entering the formation of the devil religion, the several hundred saint realm experts seemed to have agreed. Half of them retracted the energy in Moksha's great demon true body, and waved it toward Mo Lingzi. After the lightning controlled by Hulezi hit the endless saint realm energy, it was quickly swallowed, and it didn't have much effect on Mo Lingzi. Then, under the support of the several hundred saint realm experts of the devil religion, the aura on Mo Lingzi's body began to change greatly. Amidst the dense demonic chi, the black robe on Mo Lingzi's body fluttered without any wind. 2 blood-red eyes shot out from under the hood, piercing through the void. Mo Lingzi's body swelled up like a balloon as a terrifying bloody aura rose up in this region, curling around his body. The color of his black robe gradually changed, as if it was soaked in blood, turning into a scarlet color. Blood fiend battle axe, condense for me! Such words were lightly spat out from Mo Lingzi's mouth. Then, he stretched out a palm, placed it in front of him, and suddenly clenched it in the void, as if he was holding a sword. Endless demonic chi was summoned, and it gathered in his palm along his body. Chi chi chi, the demonic chi was vast and mighty, and it quickly formed into a blood-red axe in Mo Lingzi's hand. Chapter 2602. As soon as the blood-colored battle axe appeared, a hazy blood-colored mist spread out from Mo Lingzi's blood demon true body. At the same time, a fiendish aura spread out from the ground and quickly rose up. It passed through the thick clouds and completely enveloped the battlefield in the sky. In just a split second, Du Xiaoyao, who was fighting fiercely with Moksha's great demon true body, felt her heart tremble fiercely. This might seem even more terrifying than Moksha, who was fighting with her in the holy war. The sea of flames formed by Hole Laozu weakened a little in the midst of the bloody mist. They burned and rubbed against each other, emitting sizzling sounds. You want to touch the foundation of my devil religion with just the two of you? You're far from enough. Mo Lingzi's blood demon true body stood there as his vast voice resounded in the sky, causing the space to buzz. He held the blood fiend battle axe in his hand and abruptly slashed down, directly chopping the void and into the sea of azure flames. Boom! A scalp-numbing sound reverberated, and the world trembled along with it. A terrifying crack was cut open in the void, like an abyss, so deep that one couldn't see the bottom. A bloody and fiendish aura swept out, spreading in every inch of the space. Such a spatial crack opened in front of the devil religion's camp, isolating the endless sea of flames and preventing it from causing harm to the people of the devil religion. Chi 30% of the sea of flames formed by the fire lightning seed was extinguished in an instant, and its aura sharply decreased. The azure flames that were originally sweeping towards the several hundred Saint Realm experts of the devil religion were almost completely extinguished. Under the influence of the bloody aura, it could no longer pose a great threat to the people of the devil religion. Keek. You guys are really overestimating yourselves. Do you really think that the means of my devil religion are so easy to deal with? On the other side, Moksha let out a strange laugh. Then, he waved a huge demonic palm and struck down at Du Xiaoyao. Rumble! The 9 heavens shook, and the space shook. Terrifying demonic chi surged out like a tidal wave, gathering into stormy waves that slammed fiercely. In an instant, it reached Du Xiaoyao. Amidst the tumbling demon chi, the cries of ghosts and the howls of gods could be heard. A foul stench filled the air, causing one to feel nauseous and numb. Even the circulation of energy in one's body had almost stopped. Roar! Du Xiaoyao's red-boned horse monkey roared as golden light gushed forth, piercing through all obstructions. Within this, little demon Du's feet stepped in the air, steadily descending. Then, he raised his hands into the sky, and with an extremely vast power, he collided with the great demon's palms. Bang! The attacks of both sides collided, and a terrifying collision erupted. Majestic energy whistled like a raging sea. Energy ruins as small as mosquitoes exploded, dazzling like fireworks. It was incomparably beautiful. Swish! Du Xiaoyao's red-boned horse monkey body was knocked back by the attack. The golden light around her body dissipated, and her body was sent flying for thousands of feet in the sky before coming to a stop. On the other side, Moksha's great demon body did not seem to have suffered much of an impact. He still stood upright in his original position, exuding a torrential demon chi. The great devil body and the blood devil true body are both secret techniques of the devil religion? The power of several hundred people is indeed extraordinary. Du Xiaoyao's eyes flashed with a golden light as he thought to himself. Previously, when he exchanged blows with Moksha, he did not seem to be at a disadvantage. It was only after this exchange that the terror of the great devil body was revealed. Even if he used his full strength, he wouldn't be able to shake it. Not only that, under Moksha's palm, he felt the energy within his body tremble and surge, receiving a certain amount of shock. Just as Moksha said, the reason why the two were evenly matched in the first exchange was because Moksha was just probing. Now, half of the many Saint Realm experts of the devil religion had already sent their power into Mo Lingzi's body to help him form the blood devil true body. Even so, Moksha had lost half of his support, yet he still displayed such powerful strength. It could be seen that the secret techniques of the devil religion were indeed extraordinary. Du Xiaoyao thought to himself. His eyes flickered with a golden light as he glanced at the situation on the battlefield. His heart couldn't help but sink a little. After receiving the power of the devil religion's people, Mo Lingzi became incomparably ferocious. He dashed left and right in the sea of fire formed by Hule Laozu, wantonly coming and going. Under his interference, Hule Laozu's attacks couldn't get close to the devil religion's people and cause them any harm. Such a situation indicated that his and Hule Laozu's previous plan had failed. They couldn't attack the enemy's weak points to solve the current situation. Moreover, if the current situation continued to develop, he and Hule Laozu wouldn't be a match for Moksha and Mo Lingzi at all. Then, the only thing left was to see if Du Xiaofu could defeat the 9 demon emperors under their joint attack and kill their way into the space portal behind the devil religion's people. Under the prying of Du Xiaoyao's primordial spirit, the battle between Du Xiaofu and the 9 demon emperors was in a white-hot state. It seemed that it would be difficult to determine the victor in a short period of time. "Is this really the only way?" Du Xiaoyao muttered, the arrogance in his heart suddenly rising. "I don't believe that I can't deal with devil religion's thieves like you. Even if I can't kill you, I can still cut a bloody path out and enter the void corridor." Du Xiaoyao suddenly shouted. The red-bone horse monkey's body moved in the void and charged toward Moksha. "Humph, I've already said that you're just overestimating yourselves. How dare you challenge hundreds of Saint Realm experts of the devil religion with just the 2 of you? You're just delusional." Moksha snorted coldly. He also moved and pounced toward Du Xiaoyao. Both sides were extremely fast. In an instant, they collided again and a terrifying battle broke out. At the same time, on the other side, Mo Lingzi wielded the Blood Fiend battle axe and slashed left and right at the Void Flame Sea. With every strike, the Void Flame Sea was split into pieces. The lightning snakes that were swimming in the Void Flame Sea were also slashed into pieces and scattered in the void. The devil religion's methods are indeed powerful, but the ancestor isn't to be trifled with. Hule Laozu's voice rang in everyone's ears. He originally wanted to do as Du Xiaoyao said and kill those people while the rest of the devil religion couldn't take care of him. However, the blood demon real body displayed by Mo Lingzi was not inferior to Moksha's great demon real body. When the 2 of them cooperated with each other, he and Du Xiaoyao were both restrained. Moreover, they were both at a disadvantage. For a moment, the situation on his side was not optimistic. Chapter 2603. The great battle above the 9 heavens was still ongoing. Du Xiaoyao's red-bone horse monkey body moved across the void. Every time he struck, it would cause an intense storm, causing the void to tremble. However, Moksha's great demon body was even more ferocious. Every step he took with his towering body caused the void to shatter into pieces. The terrifying attacks shook Du Xiaoyao to the point of retreating repeatedly. He could only parry and had no strength to fight back. The superposition of several hundred Sage Realm experts was indeed extraordinary. However, Du Xiaoyao wasn't someone who was afraid of trouble. Facing Moksha's swift and violent attacks, not only did he not shrink back, he became more and more courageous as he fought. On the other side, Mo Lingzi wielded the Blood Fiend battle axe and slashed horizontally and vertically. Hule Laozu's sea of flames was extinguished one after another. Mo Lingzi's blood demon true body was filled with a fiendish aura that filled the void. When the fiendish aura collided with the green flames, it was burned and emitted sizzling sounds. However, even with Hule Laozu's methods, it was difficult for him to do anything to Mo Lingzi. When the lightning in the flames struck the blood demon true body, it was directly corroded and couldn't cause any damage. The scene fell into a deadlock for a moment. Du Xiaoyao, Hule Laozu, and Du Xiaofu, who was fighting fiercely with the 9 demon emperors, were unable to break out of their predicament and repel the people of the devil religion. Moreover, Du Xiaoyao and Hule Laozu were still in a disadvantageous position and could be injured at any time. Du Xiaofu, how can you win against the 9 of us joining hands? I advise you to retreat. Before Lord Demon God fully recovers and gets rid of you, you can still fight for a few more days to live. The voices of the 4 demon emperors came out from the billowing energy waves with an insufferably arrogant aura. You're just trying to stall for time. You're not enough to make me retreat. Even if the demon god was here, I, Du Xiaofu, would still dare to fight him, Du Xiaofu said in a domineering tone. The thunderclouds below were still gathering, constantly flashing out lightning dragons that looked like mountain ridges. Thick bolts of lightning were wreaking havoc amidst the raging energy tide, bombarding the 9 demon emperors. Deafening explosions rang out unceasingly. The purple-robed figure stood high up in the sky, dodging the attacks of the 9 great demon emperors from time to time. Du Xiaofu didn't carry a powerful aura. However, when he gently lifted his hand and waved it, the rampaging lightning dragon was controlled and guided. It collided with the attacks of the 9 great demon emperors, making it difficult for them to even get close to him. Of course, it would be extremely difficult for Du Xiaofu to defeat them. After all, the strength of the 9 great demon emperors had long reached the sage perfection realm. When the 9 of them joined forces, even though he had the cultivation of a half-step heavenly saint, he still had to be serious. You're boasting shamelessly. I admit that you're really strong, but you're still far from enough to break through the blockade of the 9 of us and enter the void corridor, the 5 demon emperors said. The blood-red sickle in his hand had a deep luster, and it was fluctuating with an intense aura of death. Every time he slashed, the lightning dragon controlled by Du Xiaofu would dim, and its aura would weaken sharply. Humph, if I really wanted to enter the void corridor, the 9 of you wouldn't be able to stop me. Du Xiaofu lifted his palms slightly. Another lightning dragon roared as it moved and hurriedly rushed towards the 5 demon emperors. At the same time, he didn't stop moving. Under his control, lightning bolts, which were as thick as mountains, attacked the 9 great demon emperors one after another. During the interval of the fierce battle, he also projected the power of his primordial spirit to observe the situation of Miss Du and Huolei Laozu outside. Du Xiaofu couldn't help but frown when he saw the situation. It seemed that it would be difficult to break the current situation. The situation of Du Xiaoyao and Huolei Laozu was not optimistic. It was very difficult for them to break through the blockade of the devil religion and enter the void corridor. Unless the people of the sacred demon palace and the Black Water River arrived. At that time, with the addition of a large number of fresh troops, it would be easier to deal with the devil religion. Moreover, at this time, those people should be arriving soon. Du Xiaofu thought to himself, but he was also thinking seriously. I can't wait for them. It had been a long time since the demonic god entered the space portal. If they wasted too much time here, the demonic god could easily get the item for recovery. Then, the situation would be even more unfavorable for the living beings in this world. Only by entering the void corridor earlier, even if they couldn't really stop the demonic god from getting the item, they could at least cause some trouble for him and delay him for a longer time. Hee. Du Xiaofu, do you still want to resist? Why don't you surrender? We'll let you die quickly, so that the demonic god won't have to deal with you personally. I'm afraid that it won't be easy for you to die then. The 7 demon emperors laughed sinisterly. So what if you're a half-step heavenly sage? After all, you're not a real heavenly sage. How can you break through the joint forces of the 9 of us? The great demon emperor said, his petite body moving in the void. His black claws, which were covered with scales, grabbed a lightning dragon fiercely. Then, he grabbed it a few more times and crushed it in the void, turning it into ruins and dissipating. Humph, you can't stop me! Upon hearing this, Du Xiaofu snorted coldly. Suddenly, a terrible aura burst out from his body. Golden wings of rock, rise! Du Xiaofu shouted in a low voice. Then, a golden light shot up from behind him and turned into 2 wings that stretched out in the sky. Then, his body shook slightly. He used the Fuyao first move and disappeared from where he was standing. Oh no! It's this strange space technique again! The 3 demon emperors shouted. With a wave of their palms, the energy storm in the sky was suppressed in an instant, and the sky became clear again. He looked back and glanced in the direction of the rest of the people from the devil religion. Sure enough, the purple-robed figure had appeared beside Moksha. Evil creature, how dare you be so fierce? Du Xiaofu's icy cold voice was transmitted over. In front of the eyes of the 9 great demon emperors, he had already ruthlessly slammed his palm forward and imprinted it on the great demon body that Mo Sha had transformed into. Rumble! In an instant, the sound of wind and thunder rang out. Endless electric light burst out from the palm and blasted Moksha's body hundreds of miles away. At the same time, a terrible palm print covered it. Electric arcs flickered and green smoke rose in spirals. Puff! Moksha clutched his chest. An arrow of blood spurted out from his mouth, shattering the void. All of this happened extremely quickly. After Mo Sha's great devil body was sent flying, the 9 great devil emperors barely had enough time to move. They rushed towards Du Xiaofu's direction, wanting to continue to join forces to intercept him. Chapter 2604. The speed of the 9 demon emperors was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they had already rushed to Du Xiaofu's side, forming an encirclement, preparing to continue to work together to stall him. The great demon emperor took the lead. His scaly claws moved horizontally, carrying surging demon chi that corroded the void. The blood-red sides of the 4 demon emperors fell with the aura of death. The 5 demon emperors used the demonic cloud heaven swallowing technique, which swept out in all directions and swallowed the heavens and the earth. The other 6 demon emperors also attacked at the same time. Their terrifying attacks fell, almost turning the void into a state of chaos. However, these successive attacks, which had the power to shatter everything, all fell on empty air in the end. They didn't even touch Du Xiaofu's body. This was because the purple-robed figure had suddenly disappeared from the spot when they had just closed in. In an instant, the 9 great demon emperors came to a realization. That brat must have used that strange spatial technique again. This move again. Quickly stop him! The 4 demon emperors shouted loudly and rushed forward. Without thinking, he turned the direction of the blood-red scythe in his hand and aimed it at the blood demon real body that Mo Lingzi had transformed into. At the same time, the other 8 demon emperors also turned around at the same time. Their figures pierced through the air and appeared beside Mo Lingzi in an instant. In the blink of an eye. When all the attacks fell on Du Xiaofu, the purple-robed youth raised his fist again. Tyrannical fist way! When these words came out of Du Xiaofu's mouth, a blazing purple-gold brilliance bloomed on his fist. Between heaven and earth, endless energy constantly gathered on it, condensing into a fist shadow that was as big as a house. It fiercely smashed down on Mo Lingzi's blood demon real body. Energy mysterious runes circulated, fluctuating with a vast aura. Unparalleled power entwined on it. Wherever it passed, the void was annihilated, and heaven and earth lost their color. Du Xiaofu, let me see how much strength you have in the half-step heavenly saint realm. Mo Lingzi's blood demon real body said in a calm and emotionless tone. However, the blood fiend battle axe in his hand was raised high. A terrifying aura gathered and chopped down. I really don't know where you get the confidence to challenge me. What's more, your speed is too slow, Du Xiaofu said softly. His fist was like a mad dragon leaving its lair, roaring crazily as it rushed out. Such a punch had the power to destroy the heavens and the earth, and it struck out without the slightest pause. Just as Mo Lingzi's blood fiend battle axe descended, it collided with this fist shadow. Boom! When the two collided, the blood fiend battle axe instantly shattered and turned into energy runes that filled the sky, forming a terrifying storm. On the other hand, Du Xiaofu's fist shadow was unscathed, and its momentum was not affected much. It continued to move forward. This purple-gold fist shadow smashed apart Mo Lingzi's blood fiend battle axe, passing through the destructive energy storm. Like a hot knife through butter, it disregarded all obstacles and ruthlessly smashed into the chest of Mo Lingzi's blood demon true body. Boom! Another explosion rang out, and the powerful sound waves spread out, twisting the void into pieces. Creak! Creak! The sound of bones breaking rang out, and Mo Lingzi's chest directly caved in. The mighty blood demon true body swept through the air like a rolling mountain, causing a rumbling sound to ring out. Kill! At this moment, the 9 great demon emperors had already arrived. The 9 of them attacked at the same time, surrounding Du Xiaofu in the middle. 9 terrifying attacks broke through the 9 heavens, carrying a demonic energy storm that could annihilate everything. With the power to destroy everything, Du Xiaofu's figure was buried. However, when their attacks landed, each of their faces suddenly changed. At their level of cultivation, they were able to detect the slightest movement in an instant. "He got away again!" the 4 demon emperors said hatefully, and the roots of their teeth were itching. The moment the attacks landed, they had already sensed that Du Xiaofu's figure had disappeared from the encirclement. Needless to say, the current him must have appeared in another place. "This kid's space technique is too strange. We must stop him," the great demon emperor said in a deep voice, his tone carrying an indescribable resentment. Without any hesitation, the 9 great demon emperors turned around again, heading in the other direction. Over there, Moksha, who had been sent flying, had already returned. And Du Xiaofu's target was still him. "If I were you, I would hide far away. Since you dared to come back, then take another punch from me." "Tyrannical fist!" Du Xiaofu's light words fell, and he fiercely punched Moksha's great demon body. Boom! Moksha had only returned to the battlefield for a short while, and before he could see the current situation clearly, he was hit by another punch. The majestic body of the great demon was smashed, and it tumbled in the void, collapsing and shattering one space after another. His physical body burst open, and demon blood splattered everywhere. "Du Xiaofu, if you have the guts, come and fight me fair and square!" The 5 demon emperors roared and rushed forward. But what made them furious was that when the 9 great demon emperors rushed forward again, the purple-robed youth's figure disappeared again. Needless to say, this time, he must have gone to find trouble with Mo Lingzi or the other people of the devil religion. Everyone looked back, and sure enough, Du Xiaofu was among the hundreds of Saint Realm experts of the devil religion at this time. Damn it! The great demon emperor could no longer stay calm, and he cursed in a gloomy voice. Obviously, Du Xiaofu's purpose this time was to destroy the backbone of the devil religion. One must know that he now had the strength of a half-step heavenly saint. And the strength of those hundreds of people were all below the perfect saint realm. If they allowed Du Xiaofu to rush into the devil religion's formation, what was the difference between that and a tiger entering a flock of sheep? At that time, those saint realm experts would only be waiting to be slaughtered, and Du Xiaofu could rampage and kill. People of the devil religion actually know how to say the word fair and square. "Are you worthy?" Du Xiaofu snorted coldly, and then his eyes suddenly became extremely cold. He gently raised his hand, and slowly clenched his 5 fingers in the direction of the hundreds of Saint Realm experts of the devil religion. "We can't let him have his way," the great demon emperor whispered to himself. His eyes, which were covered by demon chi, shot out an intense murderous aura. That petite body traversed the void, and the demon chi was like a dragon, following her like a shadow and swaying around her body. Facing Du Xiaofu, the 9 of them could only barely block him with their combined strength. And after using that strange space technique, he didn't dare to meet them head-on. Everyone could only be toyed with by him like monkeys, running around behind him, but they couldn't even touch the corner of his clothes. How could the 9 great demon emperors not feel hatred in their hearts under such circumstances? How could they not know that Du Xiaofu wanted to use his elusive speed to defeat them one by one? As long as Moksha and Mo Lingzi were defeated, the hundreds of Saint Realm experts of the devil religion would be slaughtered. At that time, it would be impossible for the 9 of them to stop Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and Huolei Zi. However, what made the 9 great demon emperors feel despair was that Du Xiaofu's strange spatial technique was something that they were completely unable to reach. "The 9 of us will split into 3 groups. One group will deal with Du Xiaoyao, and the other group will deal with Huolei Zi. Let's make Du Xiaofu hesitate and not dare to be arrogant anymore." The 9 great demon emperors followed behind Du Xiaofu and headed toward the hundreds of Saint Realm experts of the devil religion. During this time, the 7th demon emperor's primordial spirit fluctuated and said to the others, His idea was very simple. If the 9 of them chased after Du Xiaofu without letting go, they would only be in a passive situation. If they split up to deal with Du Xiaoyao and Huolei Zi, who were relatively weaker, Du Xiaofu would definitely rescue them. In this way, they could resolve the current passive situation. Absolutely not. Du Xiaoyao and Huolei Zi are not weak. They are not easy to deal with. We can't kill them in a short time. If the 9 of us split up, we will give Du Xiaofu a chance to defeat us one by one. The 8th Demon Emperor immediately spoke and rejected the 7th Demon Emperor's suggestion. The remaining 8 Demon Emperors nodded in unison, indicating that they agreed with the 8th Demon Emperor. However, before they could come up with a feasible countermeasure, the 9 Great Demon Emperors were speechless. Because on the other side, as Du Xiaofu clenched his fist, a terrifying aura rose in the area above the 9 heavens. An indescribable charm filled the air as though the unique rhythm of heaven and earth had been magnified countless times. During this process, 3 words popped out of Du Xiaofu's mouth. However, they were like spring thunder that exploded in the sky. 8 flashes of lightning! As soon as the 4 words were uttered, the power of laws became dense. The patterns of the great Tao evolved and carried a natural rhythm. The sky above the 9 heavens changed color instantly. In the sea of lightning beneath everyone's feet, dark clouds rolled rapidly, producing streaks of lightning that shuttled back and forth. Then, under everyone's gaze, the terrifying bolts of lightning swept upward. There were so many of them that it was impossible to estimate. The countless bolts of lightning rose against the sky and gathered into a thick thunderbolt of unknown size. In an instant, it blasted into the hundreds of Saint Realm experts of the devil religion. Boom! A terrifying sound reverberated. The void was shaken and collapsed one after another as though the world was about to be destroyed. The area where the hundreds of people of the devil religion were located was as though countless firecrackers were set off at the same time. The scene was simply boiling, and the sound of explosions didn't stop for a long time. Hundreds of figures were buried in the thunderbolts. At a glance, one's eyes were pierced by the thunderbolts and burned endlessly. A terrifying storm swept across, engulfing and killing, instantly turning this area into a terrifying land of peril. Even with the strength of the 9 great demon emperors, they could only stop abruptly in this place and didn't dare to step into it rashly. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! The great demon emperor stood in the void and roared furiously. The other 8 demon emperors were also stunned as they watched this scene unfold in a daze. They couldn't stop it at all. Du Xiaofu's half-step heavenly saint strength was actually this terrifying when he displayed the law of lightning. Chapter 2605. Under Du Xiaofu's mighty power of laws, hundreds of sage experts from the devil religion were annihilated by the power of thunder. One could imagine that there would be many experts who would die in this battle. Hee, well done, boss! If you can take care of these scumbags from the devil religion alone, I'll be impressed by you in the future. You're not fighting alone today. Let me cheer for you. Take care of these scumbags for me. On the other side, Du Xiaoyao, who had regained the appearance of a golden-robed young man, shouted excitedly. However, the last sentence he said sounded like he was trying to kick up a fuss. In the beginning, he was at a disadvantage in the battle with Moksha. However, he did not expect his boss to turn the situation around immediately after he broke free from the encirclement of the 9 demon emperors. As for himself, he seemed to have nothing to do for a while. He could not help but stand aside with his arms crossed, watching the show calmly. Cheer for you, my ass! Are you stupid? Hurry up and enter the space portal! Du Xiaofu scolded. Then, he disappeared again and reappeared next to Du Xiaoyao. He gave him a merciless kick on his butt. Du Xiaofu did not show much mercy in this kick. The force he used was extremely strong, but it did not cause any harm to Du Xiaoyao. Fuck, what are you doing? Du Xiaoyao shouted. He was sent flying by Du Xiaofu's powerful kick. His body swept across the sky and flew toward the space portal. However, the moment Du Xiaoyao was sent flying, he understood Du Xiaofu's intention. Oh no! The 9 demon emperors also came to their senses and immediately realized this. After a moment of shock, they all calmed down and did not do anything to stop it. Ancestor, you and Xiaoyao go into the void corridor first. I'll come after you, Du Xiaofu said to Huolei Laozu. All right, let's go meet that demon god first. The sea of green flames above the 9th heaven suddenly shrank and quickly transformed into Huolei Laozu's appearance. The moment he appeared, he did not even think before he directly followed behind Du Xiaoyao and entered the spatial door. When the Devil Religion's 9 devil emperors saw this scene, they didn't try to stop him again. This was because they knew that with Du Xiaofu glaring at them from the side, there was no way they could stop them. Moreover, the demonic lord had already entered the void corridor. Du Xiaoyao and Flames Park alone couldn't cause any trouble to the demonic lord. The greatest possibility was that the 2 of them had died at the hands of Lord Fiend Celestial. As long as Du Xiaofu didn't enter the void corridor personally, the 9 demon emperors wouldn't feel too nervous. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. While the onlookers were thinking, the hundreds of Saint Realm experts of the Devil Religion were constantly fluctuating and rubbing against each other. The electric radiance slowly dissipated, and the terrifying power was also gradually withdrawn. Then, the scene in the field fell into everyone's eyes. Ah! Amidst the flashes of residual electric arcs, there were about 300 disheveled figures that were revealed. All of them were covered in wounds and their auras were weak. Many of them were holding their heads and howling miserably. However, most of them did not make much noise. It was obvious that they had fainted. Du Xiaofu, the Devil Religion will fight you to the death! Suddenly, the 2nd demon emperor, the 3rd demon emperor, and the others roared crazily. Their eyes emitted terrifying light as they stared at Du Xiaofu, who had retreated to the side. They couldn't wait to tear him into 8 pieces, eat his flesh, and drink his blood. They could see that there were only over 300 Saint Realm experts left alive in the battlefield. As for the remaining 100 to 200 people, they had all been turned into ashes by that terrifying bolt of lightning. Not even a trace of them was left behind. How could the 9 demon emperors not be furious with such an outcome? It should be known that the Saint Realm experts were the backbone of the Devil Religion. The loss this time was so great that it would be a terrible blow to the Devil Religion's future expansion. Most of the remaining people who were still alive were temporarily unable to fight. They would need a lot of time and elixirs to recover. All of this was caused by Du Xiaofu alone. What a joke! We are already in a situation where we will fight to the death. It's a pity that only 100 people died, Du Xiaofu said. He clicked his tongue and sighed. His tone was filled with regret. Du Xiaofu, when you fall into the hands of the Devil Religion, I will make you beg for death. I will pull out your soul and imprison it on the spirit refining platform. You will be burned by the devil fire for eternity. The great demon emperor's voice became hoarse again. The devil chi that was wrapped around his petite body fluctuated violently. It was obvious that his heart was not calm at this time. The corners of the purple-robed youth's mouth curled up slightly as he looked at the expression of the purple-robed youth. His eyes narrowed. He seemed to be very happy. It was obvious that Du Xiaofu was very satisfied with the result of his attack at this time. However, such an expression was so hateful in the eyes of the 9 demon emperors. It made the hatred in their hearts surge and churn endlessly. Even the water of the 3 rivers and 5 lakes couldn't wash away the hatred in their hearts today. If they could capture him one day, they would make him suffer the most painful punishment in the world. They would make him beg for death. Hee, you want to kill me for a long time. So many years have passed, but you still can't do anything to me. Du Xiaofu chuckled. His eyes were fixed on the void portal in the distance. At this time, Du Xiaoyao and Huolei Laozu's figures were approaching the void portal. The Devil Religion didn't stop them. Du Xiaofu could guess the reason for this. It was because they felt that Du Xiaoyao and Huolei Zi's strength couldn't pose a big threat to the demon god. In fact, Du Xiaofu was also aware of this point. Therefore, he didn't intend to delay any longer. Du Xiaofu, let's fight! The 5 demon emperors shouted and dashed out directly. vast demonic clouds gathered and spread out in the void. "Do you think that I will play with you?" Du Xiaofu said softly. Then, with a flash of golden light, he went to the void portal. When he used the first style of rising wind, he completely ignored the barriers of space and appeared directly in front of the portal. "Damn it!" The great demon emperor was flustered and exasperated. It was not the first time he cursed that day. He didn't expect that after Hole Laozu and Du Xiaoyao left, Du Xiaofu didn't have any scruples. He didn't want to fight with them anymore. Instead, he went directly to the void portal. With the support of his space technique, even if the entire demonic sect attacked together, no one would be able to stop him. Chapter 2606. Old 7, Old 8, and Old 9, stay behind to treat the injured. The rest of you, follow me into the void corridor. Once their injuries have stabilized, they will meet up with us. Seeing Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and Hole Zi's figures disappear into the faint spatial ripples, the great demon emperor ordered in a deep voice. After he finished speaking, he led the other 5 demon emperors and rushed toward the void door without further delay. The 7th demon emperor, 8th demon emperor, and 9th demon emperor nodded at the same time. Then, they turned around and entered the hundreds of injured Saint Realm experts of the devil religion to start treating them. On the other side, Moksha and Mo Lingzi also dragged their injured bodies and flew back. At this time, they had all recovered their original appearances. They had been beaten back to their original forms by Du Xiaofu. Moreover, their auras were much weaker, and their injuries were quite serious. However, because they had the support of the great demon body and the blood demon Rio body, their injuries were much lighter than the hundreds of other Saint Realm experts. They only needed to adjust their breathing slightly and swallow some elixirs to recover quickly. The 2 of them returned almost at the same time. After they looked at each other, they saw the shock in each other's eyes. A few years ago, with their cultivation, it could be said that they could crush Du Xiaofu. But now, the purple-robed young man had left them far behind. Even if the 2 of them used the devil religion's secret technique, and had the support of hundreds of people, they still could not fight him head-on. It could be said that they were no longer on the same level as the purple-robed young man. The gap was like a natural moat and a chasm. "What are you waiting for? Come and help!" The 7th demon emperor glared at Moksha and Mo Lingzi and said angrily with strong dissatisfaction. "Yes, Sir Demon Emperor!" Moksha and Mo Lingzi both shrunk their necks and went to the side respectfully to start treating those who were injured by Du Xiaofu's lightning law. Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and Hole Laozu broke through the devil religion's blockade and crashed into the spatial portal that was emitting faint ripples. The bodies of the 3 were like 3 boulders that were thrown into a calm lake, creating ripples one after another. Then, their figures disappeared from this space at the same time, as if they had entered another world. In the next instant, the scene that appeared before their eyes caused the 3 of them to be fiercely shocked. "This is..." Du Xiaoyao muttered as she stood in the air. His eyes shone with golden light as he raised his head and looked ahead. His line of sight extended into the endless distance. In the void, there were many steps floating in the air. They were like warm jade, emitting a fluorescent light and rippling with a clear radiance. It was pleasing to the eye. These steps were spread out in the void, their horizontal width unknown. They went all the way up, leading to an unknown place, unable to see the heart. The only thing that could be seen was a strong light shining. At a glance, it was all hazy and shrouded the steps in the distance, making them look mysterious and majestic. This jade platform seemed to have existed since time immemorial, causing one to be curious as to what exactly was at the end of the platform. Was it an ancient palace, or the residence of a god? Or was it the end of this world? Or was it a shortcut to another world? This should be the void corridor that the demon emperor was talking about. Du Xiaofu softly muttered to himself, his eyes filled with an intense throbbing that could not be suppressed. Such a scene gave one a feeling of extreme grandeur. It was his first time seeing such a scene, and he could not help but be shocked. "It can't be wrong!" The end should be where the dark palace of the clouds is located. I just don't know what's there that could make the devil god pay so much attention to it. Huolei Laozu added, similarly unable to conceal the surprise in his eyes. He had only heard a little about the dark palace of the clouds because he had lived for a long time. As for the specific situation, he knew nothing about it. I don't see the devil god's figure. He should have gone up by now. Du Xiaoyao suddenly looked at the end of the void corridor and said, Perhaps he has already entered the dark palace of the clouds. Du Xiaofu said with a solemn tone. The end of the steps was completely enveloped by strong light, making it impossible to see the scene at the top. The devil god had either left their line of sight, or he had already entered the dark palace of the clouds. Let's go quickly. Regardless of whether we can stop the devil god from recovering, we must at least give him some trouble. We can't let him get the recovery items so easily, Huolei Laozu said. After saying that, he leaped up and rushed to the first step. I can tell at a glance that this void corridor is extraordinary. I don't think it's that easy to climb up. Let's slow down a little. We must be careful. Du Xiaofu reminded them and followed closely behind Huolei Laozu. No matter how strange it is, it won't be a problem for me, Du Xiaoyao said proudly. Then, without further delay, she rushed up at the same time. However, just as the three of them stepped onto the first step, they suddenly felt a strange force crushing down on their primordial spirits. Even if they used their celestial qi to resist, they could not eliminate it. The only thing they could do was to use the strength of their primordial spirits to resist it. The three of them looked at each other, and knew that the other party was also under the same pressure. What a strong pressure, but it's very weak. I can easily withstand it, Du Xiaoyao said softly and looked at Du Xiaofu and Huolei Laozu. The two of them nodded in agreement. They realized that although the crushing force was pervasive, it was too weak compared to the strength of the three of them. Even if they did not use their strength to resist it, it would not cause any harm to them. This situation made the three of them heave a sigh of relief. Continue. Du Xiaofu spoke and once again leaped up, stepping onto the second step. Just as his foot landed on the ground, his expression abruptly changed. Behind him, Huolei Laozu and Du Xiaoyao followed closely behind. The pressure has increased. Huolei Laozu stared into the distance and said solemnly, Let me try again. Du Xiaoyao crossed the distance and quickly rushed to the third step. Then, a serious look appeared on his handsome face. It's really like that. Du Xiaofu and Huolei Laozu followed closely behind. After looking at each other for a while, they had the same thought in their minds. Ever since we stepped onto the first step, there has been a pressure on our primordial spirits. On the second and third steps, the pressure has increased. According to this, as we move forward, the pressure we have to endure will increase, Huolei Laozu said in a low voice. Chapter 2607. That's right. There was no end to this void corridor, and it was unknown how many steps there were. In the beginning, this kind of pressure was insignificant to us, and we could easily withstand it. If we reach the end, the pressure will become incomparably great. I don't know if we will be able to reach the end, Du Xiaofu said as he looked into the distance. There was no sign of the demon god there. Needless to say, he must have gone far away by now. The three of them had just stepped into this place. The higher they went, the greater the pressure they would feel. If that was the case, it would be extremely difficult to catch up with the god fiend. Look behind us, the great demonic emperor and the others have also entered. Suddenly, Du Xiaoyao turned around and said. In fact, there was no need for his reminder. Du Xiaofu and Huolei Laozu's primordial spirit power had also sensed the fluctuations on the other side. When he turned around, he saw the first demon monarch, the second demon monarch, and the other 5 demon monarchs coming out of the spatial gate. Du Xiaofu, let's fight again if you dare! The 6 demon monarchs shouted the moment they arrived. You want to stop us with just the 6 of you? Before Du Xiaofu could reply, Du Xiaoyao spoke up in disdain. The devil religion has suffered a great loss this time. Over 1,000 of you stopped us outside the spatial portal, but you didn't expect to lose so many Saint Realm experts. You must be unwilling to accept this, right? Huolei Laozu also said with a smile. When he thought of Du Xiaofu's attack outside, he felt an indescribable joy in his heart. Boss, I think we should deal with the 6 demon emperors first before we look for the demon god. Du Xiaoyao's eyes were filled with murderous intent as she stared at the 6 demon emperors. As soon as these words were spoken, the 6 demon emperors, including the great demon emperor, stopped in their tracks and didn't dare to move forward. The fluctuations of demon chi around their bodies were clearly fearful. Outside, there were so many demonic sect experts, but none of them were able to stop the 3 of them. Just Du Xiaofu alone could fight 9 demon emperors without being at a disadvantage. At this moment, there were only 6 of them here. They had no chance of winning against Du Xiaofu and the other 2. If they were to fight them, it was very likely that all of them would die here. No. Finding the demon god is more important. We will have a chance to deal with the 9 demon emperors in the future, Du Xiaofu said after weighing the pros and cons in his heart. If they attacked the demon emperors Lucas and the emperor, they could kill the 6 demon monarchs Yang and the demon monarch. Moreover, the demon emperors is, Laozus if Laozus was as, they Laoji, S's to is Lu in this way do demon gods his, is to is. At that time, the god fiend would have a greater chance of obtaining the item of recovery. The living beings the S of demon living A2. Let's go! With a wave of his sleeve, Du Xiaofu turned around with Du Xiaoyao and Master Huolei. They quickly made their way up the corridor. This void corridor is strange. We can only step on 1 step at a time. We can't directly cross a step, Du Xiaofu said to Huolei and Du Xiaoyao. As they moved forward, they realized that every step they took had to be on the next step. They couldn't directly cross through the air. Otherwise, they would be obstructed by an invisible force, which would prevent them from moving forward. Then let's step up 1 step at a time, Huolei Laozi said. This time, they didn't explore slowly. Instead, they moved forward at their fastest speed. They were like 3 streaks of lightning, leaving behind afterimages. Even if every step they took had to be on the ground, their speed was still extremely fast for them. The trio's feet were like fiery wheels as they continuously stood on top of the stairs. Behind them, the 6 demon emperors also moved. They followed Du Xiaofu and the others at a distance. Just as Du Xiaofu and the others had sensed earlier, the higher they went, the greater the pressure on their primordial spirits. In the beginning, this pressure might be very insignificant compared to their cultivations. However, after an unknown period of time, even Du Xiaoyao and Huolei had to treat it seriously. We've only walked for a short distance, but this pressure is already affecting my strength. As they rushed forward, Du Xiaoyao's voice rang out in the void corridor, reaching Du Xiaofu and Huolei Laozu's ears. That's true. Although it's only affecting our strength by a little, less than 10%, if we continue forward, it'll affect us by 10%, 20%, or even more, Huolei Laozi said, frowning. If it affects us too much, it'll be even more disadvantageous for us when we face the demon god in the end. Du Xiaofu also said, but he didn't stop. He continued to step on the steps. There's no time to think so much. Let's find the demon god first. After saying that, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but turn around and look behind him. He saw that the 6 demon emperors were still following closely behind him, maintaining a certain distance. Obviously, they didn't want to let Du Xiaofu reach the void corridor safely. At the same time, they were worried about his strength, so they just stayed behind, waiting for an opportunity to attack. You're haunting us! Du Xiaoyao muttered a curse and raised her eyebrows. Don't worry about them. Let's go! Du Xiaofu said, and he couldn't help but speed up. Du Xiaoyao and Huolei Laozi didn't want to be left behind, and they followed him. Boss, let's have a competition to see who can reach the end of the void corridor faster, Du Xiaoyao suddenly said, his eyes shining with golden light. How? Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and asked. If you lose, you'll have to give me back the position of boss, Du Xiaoyao said with a solemn and serious expression. Ho ho, don't even think about the position of boss. You'll be the eternal number 2, ha ha ha. Du Xiaofu couldn't help bursting into laughter as he said that. This guy had been calling him boss non-stop recently. It turned out that he was still unconvinced and wanted to take back the position of boss. With regards to this matter, how could Du Xiaofu let him have his way? A light flashed on the soles of his feet, and the power of thunder and lightning appeared. His speed suddenly increased, and he left Du Xiaoyao behind in the blink of an eye. Bah, I'm not convinced. Du Xiaofu, who are you calling the eternal number 2? Du Xiaoyao was furious. Golden light burst out from his body, and he flew up to catch up. The two of them were extremely fast, and soon only 2 shadows were left behind. It's so good to be young. I also want to be young again, Huolei Laozu said with a chuckle. Under the disturbance of the 2 young people, he couldn't help but feel happy. The huge pressure brought about by the demon god, which had shrouded his heart, also dissipated a little. The great tribulation has arrived. I don't know if I can survive it this time. In that case, let me be young again, ha ha ha. Wait for me. Huolei Laozu suddenly burst into laughter. Then, the power of thunder and lightning and the power of fire intertwined, and his speed increased sharply. He rushed in the direction of Du Xiaofu and Du Xiaoyao, and quickly disappeared into the distance. Seeing this, the 6 demon emperors behind looked at each other in dismay. What's going on? The 6 demon emperors were dumbfounded. They were baffled by the actions of those 3. Let's go. The great demon emperor didn't say anything more. He just ordered the others in a gloomy voice. Under his urging, the 2nd demon emperor, the 3rd demon emperor, the 4th demon emperor, the 5th demon emperor, and the 6th demon emperor didn't say anything more. They each increased their speed to the maximum and rushed forward. The pressure is getting greater and greater. After a long time, Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and Huolei Laozu had gone a long way. The 3 of them turned around and looked behind them, only to see that the stairs at the bottom had already disappeared from their sight. However, the 6 demon emperors still followed them. In this position, the 3 of them all felt the pressure on their primordial spirits was extremely great. Even with the strength of Du Xiaoyao and Huolei Laozu, they felt a great impact. With such pressure, I'm afraid that if someone below the saint realm came here, his divine soul would be directly crushed, Huolei Laozu said as he felt the all-pervasive pressure on his primordial spirit. That's right. It's very difficult for an ordinary saint realm expert to withstand this pressure. If you want to continue moving forward, I'm afraid you'll need a great deal of willpower. Moreover, you'll have to rely on your powerful physical strength to continue moving forward, Du Xiaofu said. Even with his current cultivation, he felt that his strength was affected to a certain extent. If it were an ordinary person who had just entered the saint realm, it would be considered good if he could exert 10% of his strength here. When is the end of this void corridor? Du Xiaoyao said gloomily as she raised her head and looked ahead. There, a flight of steps was suspended in the air, and the end couldn't be seen. However, at the extreme point, a dazzling light shrouded the scene ahead like clouds and fog. No one knew what kind of existence it was. This kind of situation made people feel extremely tired. It was like climbing a mountain. One had already reached the point of exhaustion, but still couldn't see the scenery at the top of the mountain. It's getting closer and closer, Huolei Laozu said softly. Ignoring Du Xiaofu and Du Xiaoyao, he took the lead and stepped onto the next step. Du Xiaofu and Du Xiaoyao didn't say anything else and stepped out respectively. As they continued to move forward, the steps passed under their feet. Time passed slowly. The 3 of them realized that they were not too far away from the cloud-like place. Surrounded by clouds and fog, could that be the dark tower in the clouds? Du Xiaofu guessed secretly. Not only him, but Huolei Laozu and Du Xiaoyao also had the same guess. Du Xiaofu, let's continue competing. Du Xiaoyao suddenly gave him a provocative look. You're always number 2. Du Xiaofu stared at Du Xiaoyao and said with a chuckle. Scram. Whoever enters the cloud-like place first will be number 1. Du Xiaoyao said angrily. You're always number 2. Du Xiaofu said calmly. I'll definitely take back the number 1 position today. Du Xiaoyao shouted, her eyes fierce. You're always number 2. Du Xiaofu said. Chapter 2608. Damn it! Can you not mention that? Du Xiaofu kept calling him number 2, which made Du Xiaoyao really anxious. She couldn't help but curse. Sure, then I'll change it. Du Xiaofu's expression was incomparably calm as he continued. You will always be my number 2. Fuck! Du Xiaoyao was about to go berserk, and no longer continued to bicker with Du Xiaofu. Instead, with a dark face, he lowered his head and walked forward. Du Xiaofu smiled and didn't say anything. Time continued to pass, making it hard for them to remember how much time had passed and how many steps they had walked. Although the long void corridor was dazzling and beautiful, and the scene was shocking, no matter how much one yearned for it, if it was just a monotonous color and seemed to be very difficult to see the end, it would make one feel bored and tired. Fortunately, Du Xiaofu and the other 2 continued to move forward, and they were nearing the location of the clouds they saw below. This place was completely shrouded in mist. Under the reflection of the light emitted from the steps, it was suffused with a hazy radiance, and was incomparably magnificent. I wonder if the celestial palace in the clouds is behind these clouds. Du Xiaoyao stopped and stood on the steps as she said softly. Beneath their feet, the void corridor was still extending all the way into the clouds. They couldn't see the specific situation inside. Maybe it's not that simple. I have a feeling that something unusual is going to happen later. Huolei Laozu landed beside Du Xiaofu and frowned. The pressure here is already extremely strong. If we enter the clouds again, we don't know what will happen. Let's be careful. Du Xiaofu warned Huolei Laozu and Du Xiaoyao. He instinctively felt an unusual aura. In the place where they were, the omnipresent pressure in the void was incomparably terrifying. Even with the strength of Du Xiaoyao and Huolei Laozu, they could feel their spirits trembling. Fortunately, the 3 of them had profound cultivation. If an ordinary initial stage Sage Realm cultivator had stepped onto the void corridor, they wouldn't have reached this place at all. Under such pressure, they would have been scared out of their wits, and even their souls would have been scattered. Needless to say, after entering the clouds, there would definitely be unexpected things that would happen. We still haven't seen the demon god. Du Xiaoyao looked ahead and said softly. The 6 demon emperors are following us. Fire Thunder Ancestor looked down the stairs. When he saw the 6 demon emperors, he asked. That's not slow, Du Xiaofu said expressionlessly. He wasn't too surprised by this. The 9 demon emperors were not weak. Even the weakest one had a strength that was infinitely close to the accomplished stage of the Sage Realm. Moreover, his strength had been damaged. Needless to say, the 6 demon emperors were following behind him. The pressure in the void corridor might affect them, but it wouldn't cause them too much trouble. Don't care about them. Let's go, Du Xiaofu Laozi said. Step by step, he rushed up and crashed into the clouds. Huolei Laozu and Du Xiaoyao also moved at the same time. Their figures disappeared in the vast clouds one after another. However, the moment they entered the void corridor, they encountered a situation that caught them unprepared. Big brother, where are you? After entering, Du Xiaoyao Laozu tried to open her eyes wide and scan the surroundings. However, all she saw was a misty white scene. Du Xiaofu and Huolei Laozu were nowhere to be seen. Her vision could only cover a distance of 3 meters at most. The stairs under her feet had also disappeared. Only the flat ground was left. It was as if she had suddenly entered another world. Even the red-bone horse monkey's powerful primordial spirit was blocked by the clouds and was confined to this small area. After Du Xiaoyao Laozu shouted, she did not hear any response from Du Xiaofu and Huolei Laozu for a long time. She finally realized that she had entered a strange place and was separated from Du Xiaofu and Huolei Laozu. What was even more strange was that even if she retreated, she could not walk out of the clouds and return to the stairs outside. It seemed that she could only rely on herself if she wanted to leave this place. My cultivation is being suppressed. Just as Du Xiaoyao was about to find a way out, she was shocked to find that her strength had been suppressed and reduced by half. Moreover, the powerful pressure that was suppressing his soul had yet to disperse, causing him to feel extremely pressured. What a strange place, but it's not enough to trap me. Du Xiaoyao's eyes focused and shot out 2 beams of golden light. His body also shone with light. Roar! After letting out a roar that shook the heavens and earth, his human form changed and transformed into a red-bone horse monkey. A vast golden light shot out, illuminating the surrounding clouds and mist with a golden hue. After returning to his original form, it was much easier for him to resist the pervasive pressure. The gigantic body of the red-bone horse monkey took a step forward. As it stepped on the ground, it emitted a loud rumble. After a few steps, it disappeared into the clouds that covered the sky. The same thing happened to Du Xiaofu and Hole Laozu. When they stepped into the clouds and mist, the other 2 disappeared as well. My strength has been suppressed by half. Du Xiaofu's body did not emit the slightest fluctuation of aura, but he was able to resist the pressure in this place. He was originally at the half-step heavenly saint realm. After his strength was suppressed, he still had the cultivation of the peak of the consummate saint realm. Moreover, he was not an ordinary peak of the consummate saint realm. With the support of the law brand in his soul, even if the pressure was twice as strong, it would not affect him. I can't tell the direction. I can only rely on my instincts to move forward. He tried to fly up into the sky, but he could not escape from the sea of mist. It was better to walk on the ground. I wonder how the ancestor and little Yao are doing. Du Xiaofu was a little worried about Du Xiaoyao and Hole Laozu. The 6 great demon emperors of the devil religion must have entered this place by now. If they encountered experts like the great demon emperor or the second demon emperor when their cultivation was under pressure, they would be in big trouble. Moreover, the demon god had also entered this place. If they encountered the demon god, the consequences would be unimaginable. I hope they don't encounter each other, Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. He did not know whether they would have the opportunity to meet each other in this space. He hoped that he could encounter the several demon emperors. Even if he encountered the demon god, he had some methods to deal with him. With some worry in his heart, Du Xiaofu soared into the sky. He randomly chose a direction, and his figure rushed out. As Du Xiaofu continued to move forward, he passed through the clouds and mist. This space gave him the feeling of a sea of mist. He could not see anything clearly, and he had not encountered anything strange. It was extremely monotonous and strange. This situation lasted for a long time, so long that Du Xiaofu himself could not remember exactly how long it had taken. At some point in time, Du Xiaofu, who was running at a high speed, suddenly froze on the spot. Someone is here! Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes. The power of his primordial spirit found that there was a movement of a living creature, which had just brushed past him. However, due to the obstruction of the sea of mist, he could not see who it was at all. Without much hesitation, Du Xiaofu turned around and quickly walked in that direction. When Du Xiaofu was 3 meters away from that person, the other party stood there motionlessly, as if he had already noticed his arrival and was waiting for him here. Du Xiaofu, I didn't expect you to come so soon. A loud voice slowly sounded. He seemed to be very calm, as if he had already noticed Du Xiaofu's existence. When this voice fell, that person's figure also appeared in Du Xiaofu's line of sight. It was an extremely tall figure. Just by standing there, it gave people the feeling of a mountain standing still and a pavilion in the abyss. It was so powerful that it could hold up the sky. At the same time, a powerful aura was emitted from his body. Even in this suppressed area, it was difficult to stop his aura from spreading. His body clearly did not actively emit a powerful fluctuation, but it made people know how powerful he was at a glance. That mountain-like body caused one's heart to tremble at the sight of it. Demon God! After Du Xiaofu's expression changed, it suddenly became solemn. He had long been mentally prepared that he might meet the demon god or the 6 great demon emperors here. However, he also knew that the probability of this was very small. It could be said that it was an extremely slim possibility. At this moment, this idea really happened. At the same time, it made him solemn and serious. After a buzzing sound, the purple-gold heavenly tower appeared in Du Xiaofu's hand. A vast aura rose from his body, and purple-gold lightning lingered around him. The cyan spirit armor was also summoned immediately, covering his body. Looking at the demon god, Du Xiaofu's eyes were filled with deep hostility. He displayed his powerful means one by one, facing the demon god seriously. Although he also noticed that the god fiend had yet to recover, he did not dare to let his guard down. "You're not slow. You caught up with me so quickly." The demon god spoke. His mountain-like body moved horizontally, and he turned his head to look at Du Xiaofu. When he spoke, his voice rumbled out like thunder in spring. It carried a fierce majesty, and it shook the fog sea violently. "What's there to talk about between us? Let's fight!" Du Xiaofu suddenly shouted, and his face became ferocious. For him, he would definitely fight to the death with the demon god. There was no room for negotiation. The purple-gold heavenly tower in his hand rose into the air. In the blink of an eye, it condensed into a sword light that penetrated the heavens and the earth, and slashed at the demon god. Roar! The azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise rushed out in an instant. They occupied the void and let out terrifying roars. The majesty of the strongest creatures pervaded the air, invading every inch of space. Streaks of lightning flowed on the broadsword, making crackling sounds. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.